Hello! How are we all doing? Hopefully you can hear me. Oh, it's busy here. We need to recharge our Christmas tree lights again, don't we?
We do.
We got them on battery this year. Figured it was better for the environment, didn't we? Can you hear me, Mike? Oh, waiting for the thumbs up. Waiting for the thumbs up. Yay! I'm live. Hello.
I heard 2 mouse clicks first.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, I wonder what that was. No, it'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. Right, I can't see the chat at all. Not only do I need better glasses, I clearly need some glasses of any description. Hello to one and all. Happy Christmas to you. I know we usually do 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, but this year it's 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So think of it as being early. Oh, Paul's got snow. We had an attempt at snow, didn't we, about 10 days ago?
It was all right.
It wasn't bad.
No,
it wasn't bad, but it's gone now. And the weather's been ridiculous this week. We have veered between -12 and +14. Now, I know ours is a different scale to yours, so I've no idea what that is in old money. But it's been a bit warm. So you only just put the fans away, didn't you? We figured we'd be done with those by August, but no, they only went away in the garage yesterday. And now we've got a fire on. So, grand. Right, okay, what have we got tonight? Fun and games and the return of something by demand. Somebody, is Jammy in?
No.
Somebody should tweet Jammy because he's clearly forgotten again, and it was his request. Right, are we moving? Yay, it looks like everything's moving.
Shall I tweet him in Slack?
Yeah, I think you should ping him. You should ping him. We have got the week at MacBites headquarters. We have got Notion AI. Last time it was Craft. And I was on a waiting list, if you recall. Well, I don't know what happened to the waiting list. I got bumped to the top of it. So we can see it in Notion. Then there was 2 requests, actually, from Jammy. The first one was QR Factory. And I've put in alternatives because QR Factory is not free, but the alternatives are. Talking free, then we got the freebies. Then we have something that was given away this week in the MacBites Advent Calendar, which was an Affinity Publisher photo book template. So I thought I would show you what was in it and how to customise it. Then, we need a drum roll, Mike. We have an unboxing. I know what's in one of these boxes. I'm hoping I know what's in the other. But one of the unboxings is incredibly expensive. So I always find they're the best unboxings. When you're watching somebody unbox something, you're thinking, I'm not spending that kind of money on that. But I would like to see somebody unbox it. It's one of those. So fingers crossed. And it's useful. Right, so we're broadcasting. Well, we would be. Hang on a minute. What's it doing now? Don't fiddle.
Jammy's not replied.
Oh, naughty Jammy.
Could be pumping iron.
He could be. He could be at the gym, couldn't he? He did say that 9 o'clock was a better time than 8, though. Why anybody would be in the gym at any time is beyond me, but that's just me. I was mentally scarred for life when I was at school. That's the problem. We called it PE. I don't know what they call it.
Physical education.
It could be phys ed, but it was torture, basically. Yeah. So let's just ignore that. No, Jim, not happening. And to think you pay for the privilege these days as well.
I'll tell you a story about that.
Go on.
Well, you had to on our PE days, you had to make sure that you had a spare pair of underpants with you. And if you didn't, you had to go and play football, rugby, run around the track, whatever it was, with nothing under your shorts.
That didn't happen with me, but my story was...
That would be child abuse these days.
Oh, it would. You wouldn't be allowed to do that. We had to do dance in our pants as girls.
In your pants?
Dance in your pants as first year, so 11-year-old children, and there was 18-year-old sixth formers there as well. But my story about PE was I would stop and I would buy some sweets on the way to school when the days I had PE. Now you're thinking, well, what on earth were you doing that for? Because we used to have to queue up to do whatever we were doing. And I would buy my way to the back of the queue with sweets. So one of the things was climbing a rope. Never climbed a rope in my life. But my mother assures me if I was suspended with nothing but a rope to get out of a pit of crocodiles, that I'd be climbing up it. I think she was quite right. So we're broadcasting in HD. Make sure you're watching in HD. There is a like button down there as well. So while you're bothering the HD button, you could bother the like button.
Richard said that was the same as at his junior school.
I don't think it would.
Underpants saga.
I swear it would not be allowed today. As a school governor, it would not be allowed today, I can assure you. Right, so the week at MacBites headquarters. Well, we had a bit of a lazy weekend in terms of, while we were working, but we did watch the third place playoff in the World Cup. Mike said, who do you want to win? And I looked at them and thought, I was actually supporting Morocco, but sadly they didn't win. But they put up a good show. Then on Sunday, it was World Cup Day. The first half of the final was appalling, but the second half was amazing. And then it went to extra time and penalties when France woke up and realised there was a match on. Sadly, France did not win. Argentina won. But there you go. Now, Sunday. It was the last delivery before Christmas. Were Sainsbury's going to redeem themselves? No, is the short answer to that. Despite letting Mike put 2 Yule logs in the basket, it is a Yule log free Christmas. We are not going to get a Yule log. They did send, was it chocolate cake this time?
Yes.
But that's not a Yule log. No.
Shall I tell them the story?
In better news, go on, tell your bit first.
Okay, I tweeted Sainsbury's. I said, "Dear at Sainsbury's, does your free from chocolate Yule log actually exist? 3 weeks on the run, I've added it to my basket, and each time you've tried to substitute it with free from chocolate cake. Will you still be selling them after Christmas?" And I got a reply. I didn't expect a reply. "Hi Mike, sorry you've not been able to get the Yule log you're after. I've had a look for you and unfortunately it's currently on hold due to a supply issue. Sorry for the disappointment." So I tweeted back and said, "Why did you let me put it in the basket then?"
Just to torment you.
Yeah.
But as I say, in better news, never fear, the Easter eggs are available this week. So, as long as we've got an Easter Yule log, that'll be fine. Oh, no Yule log for us. I'm happy. Now, Monday, we had a show. What is the worst thing that can happen as a live session draws near? The temptation to install an update. I did it just before we went live, which was insanity, but it was fine. It didn't break anything. So, talk about living dangerously. There we were, and we had a good time. But as soon as it was over, the updates came out on the desktop as well. Well, they were there before, but I didn't dare risk it. But there was updates, and I was going crazy with updates. So pretty much it was a late night on Monday, updating everything. But Tuesday we were really heading towards Christmas. Lola met Santa, or to be more precise, Santa met Lola. She decided to give him an audience. It's been pulled by a tractor as well, so there's a MacBites moment. Yeah. I wondered where the reindeer were, but maybe they're on strike like everybody else, and he was being pulled along by a tractor. The one thing that was concerning me, at the back of Santa's sleigh, there's somebody dressed head to foot in white with what it actually looks like nuclear protection gear, doesn't it? I'm not sure what he was doing at the back, but I've just watched a 4-part series on Litvinenko, and they were dressed up in that, only it was green. So I don't know why that's white. But anyway, that was Santa. But as he got closer and Lola made her presence felt, barking, she got a wave off Santa. So she was quite happy with that. She didn't wave back, but she did bark. Oh, got to love it. I'm assuming this is a charity thing.
I would think so, yeah.
They used to come round.
It was sale, whatever it is.
It was the round table that used to come round, and they used to sing as well. They had a lot of people with them, and they would stop and they would sing, and you would dive out and people would be coming around the houses with buckets for money. This wasn't actually that close to where we are, and I've not seen one this year. But Lola had a good time. She must sit there and watch these things and think, what are these humans doing now? Why has he got a red suit on? And what's the nuclear guy doing at the back? Anyway, that took us to Wednesday. Mike did the international thing on Wednesday. You're a very busy boy Wednesday night, actually, weren't you? It started off with the Romanian Excel users group. Not that you were speaking at that one, but you did speak at the Saudi one. Put the link in for the Saudi one. He was actually the star turn at the Saudi one. Once that was over, I think that was about an hour and a half, wasn't it? Oh, it was time for the tin pot. as Mike and I call it. If you are unaware, in the UK, we have lots of different football competitions. The big one is the Premier League. In terms of a cup, which is a knockout series, the FA Cup's the big one. There used to be another one, what was it originally called? The League Cup.
The League Cup.
The Football League Cup, which is what the EFL is, the English Football League. They've sold out to, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, we would say the Carabao.
Carabao, I think.
I think it's Carabao, but whatever. It was that. We call it the tin pot because, with the European League and Super League, no, this is like the one that if you won this, it'd be like whatever. So it's the tin pot. Anyway, things have been going so badly at United that to win it 2-0 was an achievement. So that was fine. Mike had a good night. He had a good night overall. My highlight came, it was actually Wednesday night because there's a site called Tomorrow's Papers Today. It's like time travel. So as the match was wrapping up, I was looking at Thursday's papers. And while I would never, ever, on pain of death, recommend reading The Sun, the headline got me. Oh, I was so excited, Line of Duty's coming back. They better not be telling me a porky. They better not. That better be true. That is one of my favourite series ever. And it finished with Series 6 in May 2021. And people didn't like how it finished. I understood how it finished, but I didn't want it to finish full stop. Anyway, there've been that many complaints about how it finished, they've decided that they'll refinish it. So there's going to be another series. So I am more than is healthily excited for a woman of my age. The evening of Thursday, it was back to the Carabao Cup. No, we weren't playing again. Somebody else was playing. Was it City and who?
Liverpool.
Oh, City and Liverpool, so a huge match. But at the end of it, it was time for the draw. And I think there were only 8 left, weren't there? So we were down to the last 8. We've drawn Charlton at home, which shouldn't be a problem, should it? Which probably means we'll be stuffed like a Christmas turkey. But that's the plan. That's not till next year, though, in January. Now, after her success with Santa, Lola went out again. And this time, it's the lights. These lights they've been there for many years in a road, probably a couple of 100 yards from our house. I wasn't aware, but these are actually collecting for charity. So they're just domestic houses with lovely, lovely lights. If you remember last year, these are the ones, you can't see it on that picture, and it's ridiculous because if you look at it from the side, you can. They've got dinosaurs in the garden. Now, who doesn't want dinosaurs in your garden? Is what I say. Lola was, what an embarrassment, more interested in sniffing a wall. We won't go into the detail of that. But the road is called Chestnut Drive and they collect for charity. So their charities have been Mission Christmas Cash for Kids and the Cats Home. Cats of M33, which is our postcode. So they've asked for people to drop off tins of cat food. I don't know whether they're thinking that dogs aren't hungry. And that doesn't look much like a cat on the left. But apparently it's for cats. And Lola quite likes cats. So that was our week. How was your week leading up to Christmas? Do let us know. So, our first topic tonight, the Notion AI. This is so funny. If you recall, I did mention that I applied for this. There was a waiting list. And I applied for it and I got told I was 21,000 plus places down the waiting list. But suddenly I was there. This invitation to use the AI in Notion arrived 5 minutes after the last show. Now, I'm thanking Craft for being the catalyst in all this, because normally when Notion announce something, speed doesn't seem to be that important to them. If you recall, they announced the timeline feature and it was 18 months before we saw it. So I was expecting the same with the Notion AI. Now, you let me know in the chat, have you been bombarded with emails or tweets or anything from people talking about AI? Because I have. Now, it could be because I'm a content creator and some of these mails are like, use our AI system and it'll make a video for you. Use our AI system, it'll write a book for you and you can put your name on the front. I'm like, really? Really? I'm a bit sceptical, but people seem to be going for it in a big way. But Craft came out and they gave everybody initially 100 requests in a month. So obviously Notion realised they had to get going with it. So they did. So although I got the email, I did then get this, you're invited to try it, blah, blah, blah. You can see at the top, it's saying turn on AI for Giles Thomas, which is our workspace. And by turning it on, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions. Only users off the waitlist can access it. So this was a 3-step introduction to it, which was basically saying you'll be able to write faster. Let AI handle your first drafts. Now, I think that's a good way of pitching it as a first draft. But I think it's unfortunate that every technology that comes out seems to appeal to the lowest level of intellect. And some people will just push a button and then publish it. And I foresee lots of problems with that. But this one has got, I would say it's got a few more options than Craft. And it doesn't look like they're limiting you beyond you've got to turn it on. So you have to be on the wait list, you have to get your invitation, and then you turn it on. Some of the things I think will be useful are things like summaries and maybe writing a list. So once you've got your invitation, etc., you need to go into your account, into your settings, and there is a Notion AI option, and you need to turn that on. So literally that is all I did. I'm assuming it's come through to you because you're in my workspace. He's not tried. I can tell. There's a silence there, isn't there, Mike?
I'm trying to sort stuff out for somebody.
Right. One of the things I tried, so if you follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, you'll have seen this. Couldn't stop laughing. It promised to write me a poem. And I thought, poems really have to come from the heart. I can't see AI writing about a host of golden daffodils. Or at the cenotaph, Sigrid Sassoon. So I thought, what could I ask it to write me a poem about? So I decided I'd ask it to write a poem about me and my Mac. I'll just let you read that while I titter gently in the corner. It was more akin to, as we would say over here, roses are red, violets are blue. My Mac's so bright and shiny.
Oh, Johnny's in. Came back from the gym early and still managed to be late.
Yay, Jommy's in. Hello, Jommy. Hello, Jommy's other half. And the dogs. Yes, so what do we think of the poem? Oh, I can't get over why you would want AI to write a poem. But never mind, let's go in and have a look at it. Maybe it's something you want to do. So somewhere, here we go. I have Notion open. Why have you gone over there? Don't go over there. Come over here. No, you're not. There we go. Right. So all I've done is create a page. And when you create a page, you get all the AI stuff listed at the top. Now, not all of it is there initially. So if I create another page and it's untitled, that is what you tend to see. You can start with an empty page and type your own stuff. Apparently, that's becoming very old hat. Then you've got draft with an AI assistant. And the 3 it comes up with is to help you write, and then a blog post or brainstorm ideas. So I thought we'd have a giggle together. But there's this more option underneath as well, and that is giving you more AI options. So there's social media posts, outlines, creative stories, you name it. Now, I did hear that one of the glitterati on YouTube did, as a test this week, have AI, and I don't think it was Notion, I think it was that chat thing. Is it GPT chat? Write some social media. Well, write a Twitter thread, basically. And apparently it was his most viewed, most liked, most retweeted Twitter thread. So maybe you should retire and leave the AI to it. But that's the kind of thing it can do. So, first thing I started off with, let me get rid of this out of the way. I was thinking, the way that this is being pitched to me is what, let AI write your tutorials for you. So I asked Mike, because he was working on a video on how to calculate a percentage in Excel. So I thought, let's do that. So looking at what's in here, I'm wondering if I chose the right one. And looking at this, I think I probably did. Right, basically, I would say, help me write. So I would click on there, and then you would put in. So this is saying an article about the benefits of learning a new language. So I thought, right, a tutorial, how to calculate a percentage in Excel. Now, to me, that's quite specific, and there is a definitive answer to it. So I did that as a start. I wasn't really expecting much, but it doesn't look like it did a bad job. So I'm going to keep that one to start with. And then I think I put another one in. So once you've got something on the page, use the / and then you would choose from the AI assist what you want it to assist you with. So I'll choose the help me write again, but this time, instead of how to calculate, a tutorial to show how to calculate a percentage. So I've actually asked it to write a tutorial. So let's see what it comes up this time. Now, you'll see some of this is exactly the same, but it's formatted differently. When I did mine, this one's got 3 paragraphs at the top. This second one's got 2. I actually received an entire tutorial in steps. I looked at it and I said to Mike, OMG, we could be out of a job. So I said, can you just do me a favour? And you know, it wouldn't end well if I did it. I said, so can you take these steps and go do them? To say it didn't work was an understatement, wasn't it?
Yep.
It absolutely didn't work. Now, with that one, that's not even a tutorial either. It's not a step-by-step guide or tutorial. So I moved on thinking, these aren't bad. You know, in terms of, they make sense in terms of the words, but some of them don't work. So I thought, let's give it something easier. Let's give it something specific. So I opted for an Affinity one. So let's move down here. Where have you disappeared to now? Come on. Right, so back to the AI, and again, help me write. And this time, I want to know how to install brushes in Affinity Photo. Let's see how well it does with this one. It doesn't look bad. It really doesn't look bad. Right, it's a simple process, fair enough. Download the brushes from the Affinity store or third-party website, that's not bad. Once they've been downloaded, open the brushes panel in Affinity Photo, that's correct. Next, click the drop-down in the brushes panel and select import brushes. Find the brushes you just downloaded in a file browser and select them to be imported. So far, so good. The brushes you imported will appear in the brushes panel. You can now select them and use them in your projects. Have you noticed it then adds another paragraph? So if you were intending to just hit publish, you basically repeated yourself. So I then decided to do another one. And I thought, because I'm thinking, what's trained it? What's trained it to put this in? So I changed it, and I changed it to Adobe Photoshop. And I noticed how similar it was. If we look at that, so we'll keep it and read that. Virtually identical. There's 4 paragraphs. It just seems to have switched out Adobe Photoshop and an Affinity Photo. So on a personal level, I would be incredibly careful with this. I don't know what's trained that. You don't know what's trained that. You're certainly not going to do your due diligence and head off to find out where it's come from. But because the two of those are so similar, I'm expecting that that is on a website somewhere. So I don't know what they're doing in terms of plagiarism. I really don't. I mean, if you've got a great tutorial on how to do something, it could well be just eaten up by the AI and churned out as somebody else. But, so, what do you think of it? What do you think in terms of how good that is? I figured it needed that I'm asking it very specific things, and they're not bad. They'd need tidying up. But the essence of this is they're pitching it as it's a starting point. My concern is most people will think of it as an ending point. So I pressed on and I asked it to help me with other things. So let's do another one. How to create a master page in Affinity Publisher. Let's have a look. Have you noticed all the tutorials start off with how simple this is? Open the Pages panel, that's right. Click the drop down in the Pages panel, create master page. That's correct. New master page will appear in the Pages panel. It will, but it'll be at the top. Double click on the master page to open it. That's right. You can add elements to the master page such as text, shapes or images. That's right. When you finish, save the master page by clicking the drop down menu in the Pages panel and select Save Master Page. No. Where's that come from? That could be an InDesign thing, but it's not in Affinity Publisher. And then it repeats itself again underneath. So at this stage, I'm thinking, oh, let's ask it something more where it's got to think. So something like you want to write 7 reasons to do something. So I decided to put in, why should you use Affinity Publisher? Which is the kind of article that you see, isn't it? All right, so let's get that one in. And a lot of this writing that comes up, it doesn't read like... It reads like sales blurb. I mean, if I was writing something about why you should use Affinity Publisher, I am unlikely to mention the spell checker. I wouldn't think it was one of its killer features. And the bottom one, Affinity Publisher, is available for both Mac and PC, yeah, and also iPad, which is more important than both desktops, I would have thought. At least mention it. So, but I can see people taking Ship 30 and thinking, oh, I can't be bothered today, and just copy and paste that. What do you think of it? If I said to you, I've written a piece, why should you use Affinity Publisher? Is that what you would expect? Or would you expect something a bit better? Put that in the chat and let me know. I need to know these things. I'm liking Kim's one there, Mike. Can you make sure it shows that? Let's do it, Kim. Right, we get taken off air, but never mind, we'll do it. Right, help me write. Let's do a help me write. What are...
Some people might not know that.
7 uses for a lady pipe.
You'll have to explain where that came from.
This came from Marooned at MacBites headquarters. It was all to... I can't remember. Oh, I know how we got there. We were talking about the facilities at a football match and the fact that men don't seem to use the facilities at a football match. They just do it where they are, if you're with me. Which took us on to what ladies would do. So we went to Amazon and there is a thing, well, I don't think it's called a lady pipe, is it? But we call it a lady pipe. Just let your imagination roam. Let's see what it does. It's going to get confused. I can assure you that is not what a lady pipe does. Oh, Kim, that was a classic. That was an absolute classic. Yeah, these are not a good place. They may be an okay place to start, but they're not an okay place to end. Obviously, with what happened with Craft when we did the United History and it started talking about Arsenal, we had to do that one. So, let's put in that one. Help me write. What have I got on there? The History of Manchester United. Right, where you go. Write me a post. We did fact check this one, didn't we? Now, obviously, it's slightly different every time you ask. If I ask it again, I will get slightly different. But this one is factually accurate. The number of League Cup wins, that's the tin pot to you and I. The Premier League titles, the FA Cups, the year it was founded is correct. I happen to know that because 1978 was the centenary and it was big and I was old enough to understand what was going on. They were Newton Heath. They've actually got in players who actually played for United and managers who manage United, so it's not bad. But when they're talking about the history of the club, yet again, no mention of Munich at all. When I did a Munich thing, so let's do that. And put in, no, I don't want to do that. Come on, AI, help me write. Right. Let's try what is the Munich air disaster and see how it goes. Oh, this one's better, Mike. When I did this last time, it was a little bit longer, but it got totally wrong what they were actually doing. So the date is correct. British European Airways flight 609. I thought it was not Britannia.
BEA wasn't it?
BEA, yeah. Well, they've just expanded it. I thought the plane actually had a name, but they've not put that. It crashed on its third attempt to take off. That's correct. The airport's correct. Good grief. The football team and their staff, yes. Crashed off a slush-covered runway, caused the aircraft to lose control and crash into a nearby house. That's correct. 23 of the 44 on board were killed, including 8 of the United players of the 11 team players. That's correct. Although there were more than 11 players. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mention that the journalists were there as well. But there's such a lot missing, but there's nothing actually factually wrong. So that one did better than Kraft. So I decided at this point, right, let's go get one of my blog posts and ask it to write a summary of it, which when you've written something that's of a reasonable length, the last thing you want to do is then summarise it yourself. So I actually have the text of the thing here, but I will go find it. So let's go get the blog post. And I'm using this one, which is that exit strategy one, because I want to see if it understands the exit strategy I'm talking about, or if it starts rabbiting on about leaving work. You know, the Great Resignation and all of that. Right, so this has no summary at the top of it. I think it was probably about, well, we'll find out how many words, won't we? We will find out. Right, let's get a new page to put this on. And this one's exit strategy. That'll do. And with this one, I just want to type it in. No idea why it's coming in bold. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's unbold it. There we go. So it's come in fairly reasonable. All right, what I need to do is go to the top and I want a summary of it. And I don't want to waste my time writing it. Okay, let's take that back there. And I want a summary put in there. So / and the AI comes up. Have you noticed it went from 3 to 4 and one of them was summarise? And I think it's because it understands what's on the page. If you noticed on the previous one, it said at certain points, carry on writing, add to the writing. So with this one, it knows there's a lot of stuff on there and summarise becomes an option. Okay, so we'll hit summarise. It will have a read of it and then it will attempt to summarise it. I don't think that's that bad. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is talking about an app. It's saying it's no longer available, and it can be disheartening. That wasn't the word I used, but I might have used a word it didn't want to use. But an effective exit strategy can help you find a suitable replacement. Well, I can't really argue with that. That is what it's about. Start by making a list of the must-have and nice-to-have features you need. That's exactly what I said. And then search for an app or service that meets those criteria. That, again, exactly what I said. Road test the remaining candidates and pick a winner. With the right attitude, you can find a new app with even more features than the one you lost. I'm impressed with that. That I would use, and I probably would only change that bit about disheartening. So I thought the summary thing wasn't bad. What do you reckon? Let me know in the chat. Right, there are other things that it can do, like poetry. We're going to do, right. Have a think about something you could ask it to write a poem about. Probably not lady pipes. Too busy welding with them. That's not a lady pipe. But we'll come back to poem when you've put some ideas in about the poem. But one of the things I thought about was many of us have talked about note-taking apps. So if we go into there and we ask it, so we'll do a blog post on this one. So I'm going to more, and I'm going to say I want a blog post. All right. Why is note-taking important? And you don't spell it like that. Right. Why is note-taking important? So if you can imagine, you're sitting down and you're looking maybe for a Chip 30 post, which is about 250 to 350 words. Where do you start? And that's what AI is supposed to help you with, the starting point. So how would it do with something that's not factual? It really depends on your circumstances. And I think if you sat 100 people down to write this, you would get 100 different answers. So what would this give me on why note-taking is important? So let's have a look. Now, for a start, it puts a title in for me. It also puts in some headings, and it carries on with why it's important, but it even gives me more than that. It then starts to talk about how to take effective notes, then the methods available, and then a conclusion. Do you see why I'm scared that people will just use this as is? Because if you run that through this, you will get the same information. It'll just be mixed up a bit. I'm thinking if you're going out and you're researching something, how on earth are you going to make a judgment as to whether... Well, I know the answer to this, but you may be thinking, how on earth do you make a judgment as to whether I should read this post, or that post? And it's going to depend on the person that's put their name to it as to whether you trust them. In one of the courses that I've been on, they talk about the perspective era. And they're talking about, as a content creator, creating content through your unique lens. So if I was talking about Affinity Publisher, I might mention some of the things that don't work the way I would like them to work. That's a very personal take on it. You are not going to get that with AI. And that's why the AI says it's a starting point. But I don't necessarily think, let me know in the chat, would you think I'd written that? Or would you think I'd cheated? What do you think, Mike, looking at that? If I said to you, can you just spell check this? Would you think this isn't hers?
No.
I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. What do you reckon? Question, will the AI give you a good summary of a book? Read before you buy. I reckon it would. I mean, it's going to take a little bit longer if it's a whole book. Let's try it where we've not given it the book to read. So you're asking for a summary of a book. Let's put a new page in and ask it about second brain. So, or clear habits. No, atomic habits. That's the one, isn't it? Atomic habits. Right. So I want to write a blog post. Or do you want a summary? Is it a summary you want? Let's go in here and get a summary. Actually, the summary in here is only a summary of content that you have added in. So you would have to have the thing in here for it to create a summary. But if I wanted to say, write a blog post, something like, should you read Atomic Habits by James Clear? Oh, this is great fun, isn't it? Let's see what it should come up with.
Can you see the chat?
I can.
Jamie's got a suggestion.
A poem about Mike's bot. I'm loving that. Right, let's see what it's got to say. The introduction's fairly decent enough, isn't it? The benefits of atomic habits. So I'd imagine the same information would come up if you say, why should I use atomic habits? That to me is not as much of a summary as I think you were hoping for. If you could put the book in here and then ask it to summarise it, then yes, you would probably get that. But beyond that, this is all very, very generic, isn't it? I mean, it's not bad. One of the things, the type of things I thought it would be pretty reasonable with, if we go back to our notes example, let's say we were trying to work out, should you use Evernote, Obsidian, Devon Think, what should you use? So if I go in here and I want to write something and I want to put in 7 reasons to use Evernote. And it does actually bring them in. It's numbered, so it's easy to use. It's cross-platform. It's collaborative. There's searching and indexing. You can use templates. It's secure, and there's plenty of storage. Now that's 7 reasons to use Evernote. I then got curious with what if I wanted to write something longer. So go into my Help Me Write and put 12 reasons to use Evernote. And I thought, I wonder what it'll do. Some of these are the same, as you can see. They are coming in, search and index, templates. Yep, it just adds more to it. It must have a list somewhere, and it just adds to it. But if you're trying to write I can, because I do ship 30, I can imagine sitting there with like, I need 7 ways to do X. And it's a starting point. You know, I might choose not to use 2 of them. But if I ask for more than I need, then I can cherry pick the ones that I think are really good with it. We should ask it to write a poem about MacBites, shouldn't we? Should we do the MacBites poem? Right, there's our poem.
It's a question from Annie.
Okay.
Does Blinkist use AI for its blinks?
I don't believe it does. I believe Blinkist write them. I have got a Blinkist account and I do use it, but I tend to use it before I write the book to give myself a kind of framework so I know what to expect from the book. I will say one that is exceptional is short form. Short forms are longer than Blinkists, but they're very detailed. They've got to be written by people who know what they're talking about. I agree. Once I've looked at this and I look at Blinkist, it does start to look that way, doesn't it? But I don't believe they are in Blinkist. Do we have any other questions?
No.
I think SFN is right with, it's a real shame because I think it'll lead to a drastic reduction in quality content. I agree. The people who use this stuff wisely will be, you know, I need a tutorial for X today. So you ask it to write one, or you want 7 reasons to use Evernote. And you look at it and you think that's, you know, there's bits I can use, or even if it's just the list. If it's just a list, you can choose what to leave out and what to expand on. But I do think people they're carried away with it already. If I get one more email, I have unsubscribed to that many things. I'm subscribed to something. And what they did, I'm subscribed to something. And what they did was, it was about Camtasia. And I use Camtasia. So I subscribed. I was bombarded, and I'm talking like 8 emails a day, telling me that I don't have to make my own videos anymore. That's the old way of doing it. Leverage your time. You can be on the beach for the rest of the time. Let the AI make your videos. And I'm just rolling on the floor. But the thing is, that's my perspective on it. But how many content creators are going to be sucked into this and believe it? It can't. It never will. When you see how bad AI is with certain things, and my thing is always, if you're making a decision as a content creator, do you go with what it's produced, or do you fact check it and infuse yourself into the content? I have a question. Would you let the AI fly the plane that you're about to get on? And if the answer's no, then leave it alone. Use it as a resource, but don't just put it out and put your name on it, because you don't know where it came from. I can imagine people, you know, you put something out and somebody thinks that just doesn't sound like Elaine. And they take a chunk of it and they go do reverse searches and find out it's come off somebody else's tutorial site. That's shocking. I should be watching with interest at what stuff of mine appears in other people's things. So I agree with you. I think your perception of quality is then going to depend on the source. Do you trust this person? Can this person explain it personally? See, I'm live now. If you ask a question, I need to give you an answer or tell you I don't know the answer. But if somebody's producing video content, they don't actually need to know the answer, because one, they're not live, so you can't ask the question in real time. If you send the question in and they give you an answer, they've had time to research it. So should you trust them? That's going to be a personal decision up to you, because you don't know whether they've got somebody else writing the stuff for them. There was a YouTube channel I used to watch, Michael know which one, and the stuff was quite good. It wasn't bang on point for what I did, but I quite enjoyed the content. And then all of a sudden, the person gave up their day job and started doing it full time, and clearly took somebody on to write the content. And this person is sat there spouting the other person's content, and it's like, I'm not watching anymore. There's no way that is you. You are spouting rubbish now that somebody else has written. But in their mind, they can now get 3 videos a week out. Well, that's fabulous. But now it's three videos of rubbish. Whereas one video and sometimes it was 3 months between videos, but they were great. And they were clearly that person. That's going to go. So it's going to be based on your trust in the creator now. Oh, it's going to be grand. Let's put it like that. It's going to be grand. So let me write this poem. Shall we do a poem about MacBites and see what it does?
Jamie wants to see a MacBites poster created with one of those AI apps.
Trust me, you don't. Oh.
And SFN says, do you know the true story about a flange of baboons, not balloons?
No, I don't.
Me neither.
I don't. Right, so tell us. I guess if you gave it a title for the artwork, it would have a go at it, but I have no idea what it would come up with. Now, they've just added that to something else that I use, so I could potentially try that, but let's get a poem about MacBites. I'm not sure. A whimsical poem about finding meaning in ordinary things. How about write me a poem about how wonderful MacBites is. Let's give them a clue that we want this to be good. Oh, sweet and delightful, making my heart warm and lightful. Is lightful a word? It wasn't when I went to school. Tastes like a caramel treat. I do like caramel treats. The best snack that can't be beat. Never a dull moment with them. My cravings for them never dim. That doesn't even rhyme. Delightful and lightful does, but I don't think lightful's a word. It obviously thinks that MacBites, it's thinking of burgers, isn't it? It's not thinking of the podcast. Let's give it a bit more of a clue, shall we? Oh, this is too much fun. Right, poem. A poem about how wonderful the MacBites podcast is. Right, let's try that. So it knows it's a podcast. Oh, there you go. A wonderful show that you can trust. A world of knowledge and wisdom. I think this is going to have to go in the mail. The thing with this is, do you know, this is actually that. I'm quite happy with that. It's better than I could write. The perfect show for a Mac enthusiast. I'm loving it. Loving that. Right, what was the other one? What was the other one that Jamie wanted? Go on, scroll back up. What was the one Jamie wanted for a poem? Oh, it's Mike Botspot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. We probably need to give it a clue, don't we? A poem about Mike's bot from the MacBites podcast. So it should go to MacBites and find some information about Mike's bot. Let's see if it knows it's a song and stuff. Oh, too much fun. Right. He's always there to help, never asking him to try. Oh, and helpful and friendly. Did you know you had a helpful and friendly bot?
No.
You do now. And it brightens up my day. There you go, Jamie. We'll keep that. I think you should have a tattoo of it. It's somewhere private, I would say. Oh, did you know? That's a good idea, Patricia, because if there's one job I don't like writing, it's blurb. It's like, well, you know, it's about Affinity Publisher, and I've already said it's about data merge, so what more do you need to know? But, you know, for the algorithm, I've got to then load it with keywords. Yeah, I should just put a poem in and be done. We could have a poem for every show. You know, like those shows where they have an artist sat there doing, like, sketch notes. We should have a poem at the end of every show. That'll work great. Fabulous. Right, what else did I have? I think that was about what I tried. But I will say...
Write a poem.
Please don't.
Mary had a little lamb.
That happens a lot here, Mary having a little lamb. I know, a pros and cons list. So, for example, something like people say to me a lot, you use Obsidian, should I use Obsidian? I'm like, oh, no. That is a really difficult question because it depends on your level of knowledge, how comfortable you are with Markdown. I came to Obsidian from Rome, so all the heavy lifting had been done in Rome, understanding network notes apps. I love my Obsidian, but you might not. So, if it was a pros and cons list, stick that in. That I'm just going to put Obsidian Notes app because it knows that I want a pros and cons. Right, powerful data visualization features. Yes, but that's only just been added. The interface is highly customizable. That's true. You can easily adjust your layout. That's true. Allows users to create and store notes across multiple devices and platforms. That's true. Collaborative features to allow for easy sharing and editing of notes with others. What are you talking about? That is not true. That is totally wrong. In fact, that should be in the con section, not the pro. Robust search function makes it easy to find notes. That's true. Right. Cons of Obsidian. The cost of the app can be prohibitive. Unlikely, it's free. And guaranteed to be free forever. So that's just totally wrong. Limited capabilities for formatting text within notes. Well, that depends on what you want to do. It's styled with CSS and Markdown. So limited in terms of it's a text file, but not limited. I mean, if I'm looking at mine now, and I've got blue headings and I've got orange headings, I've got metadata boxes. So no, I don't think that's true. It's still in development and new features are being added regularly, which can cause some instability. Well, it's better than it not being in development, like most of the stuff that I've used over the years that's now RIP. Note-taking process can become cluttered due to the sheer amount of data that can be stored in Obsidian. What? You need to put in your notes app what you need to put in your notes app, so that's rubbish. There's currently no mobile version of the app which can make note-taking on the go difficult. Utter rubbish. The mobile app is fabulous. So you'll know. With something like this, if I read that on somebody else's blog, these are the pros and cons of Obsidian, I've just tweeted this, aren't I clever? Look at this. I'd be like, wrong, wrong, wrong. What concerns me is, what if I'm not likely to be Googling the pros and cons of Obsidian. I'm not likely to be Googling the pros and cons of anything that I know the pros and cons of. I am much more likely to be researching something that I don't know. And if this is that inaccurate, I would be concerned that what I'm searching for, that I don't know, I'm being given incorrect information. Funny story about that. This is a true story. Mike and I had a website about beach soccer, and we got press passes to go to a beach soccer event. And before the tournament started, there was a press conference, and Eric Cantona was going to be there. So obviously, there were we, front row. And we must have been in there 30 minutes before he rocked up. And sat opposite, well, actually, one of them was on the floor, but let's not go there. Sat opposite was a photographer and a reporter, journalist, massive air quotes, from the local paper. And the photographer was busy like cleaning his lens, and the other one was just mouthing off over what he'd written. And I thought, the press conference hasn't started yet. What do you mean, what you've written, past tense? He'd written his copy. And I thought, well, what are you doing here then? So I said to Mike when this press conference had finished, and all they wanted to ask him about was when he kicked the hooligan. We actually asked some questions about beach soccer, didn't we?
We did.
He liked us. So I said to Mike, I've got to have a copy of the paper tomorrow when that story comes out to see what he'd written. So next day comes, gets the paper, reads it. Utter rubbish. There wasn't one word that came from that press conference. I know, I was sat there. And I looked at the rest of the paper and I thought, how do I know what's accurate in this? If the one thing that I was there and I know is that inaccurate, the rest of the paper is completely worthless. So I wouldn't be relying on a personal level because of that. But what is concerning me is if somebody else thinks I'll talk about the pros and cons of Obsidian and off they go with it. Let's do another one of those, but this time we'll do the pros and cons of Devonthink and see if it's just the same. Does it have a bank of questions for pros and cons? So, AI will do another help me write. Oh no, it was pros and cons, wasn't it? We did have a pros and cons. Right, pros and cons list of Devonthink. Right, where you go. Let's have a laugh. Supports a wide range of file formats. Can't argue with that. It does. Automation features. Yeah, okay, we'll give it that one. Automatically organises documents. It can do. Powerful tagging. Yes, it can do. Internal web server. Not in every version it doesn't. That is only in the enterprise level version, which is hundreds of pounds. Initial setup can be time consuming. Not really. Expensive to purchase multiple licenses. It is. Limited integration with other popular tools. Not really. Not really. Difficult to get up to speed in all the features. Depends if you know it or not. And not as robust as other options for larger databases. Oh, it is. It absolutely is. It can take gigs worth of data. So it's a starting point, and it might trigger in you, if you are writing a pros and cons of DevonThink, something that you can actually say, but some of that is not right, and some of it is just a bit blah. It doesn't showcase the excellent features of DevonThink. You know, it doesn't mention scanning. I scan straight into DevonThink, it OCRs it, and it's searchable. Don't mention that. So again, it's going to depend on the person who's writing it. So, do we have anything you'd like me to try?
Patricia says she went into Notion and she got a notice that said you're number 1,013,067 in line.
Oh, good grief. Invite friends to move up in line. Well, I don't know what I did. I did not do the inviting friends thing. The mail came through it was before Craft, so probably the end of November. And I think the mail had been sat there maybe 15, 20 minutes. And when I clicked it, I was 21,000 and something. I don't think I got to the top of the list, I'll be honest. I think what happened was Craft came out and they started to panic. But I don't know. Hang in there. Hang in there. I mean, look how much fun it is. You can ask it to write a poem.
Like that page on the United website.
Oh, which one was that?
For the Barcelona tickets.
Oh, that was a classic.
You are number 91,247 or something.
Which is grand, because what's the capacity?
75,000.
You weren't getting a ticket then, were you? It's very simple. It reminds me of the very start of the pandemic. And if you remember, we were looking for dog food. And, I mean, we could start, but the dog couldn't. And we went to, was it Pets at Home? Thinking that they only sell that, so that's a good place to go. And I was 43,000 in the queue, and it was going to take like the best part of 3 weeks for me to get to the beginning of the queue. Yes, it's like that. But it's worth a giggle. I think it may give, as a content creator, if you're already a subject matter expert in something, it may just jog your mind with something. But as a content consumer, be very, very, very careful. Just think of the Eric Cantona interview. There wasn't one word that he said in that press conference that made it into the copy. Not one word. It's shocking, but that's what happens. Right, let's get rid of that and head back into here. Right, this one was a request from Jammy. I was contemplating doing it, but, you know, if you get a vote for it, up it comes in the list. QR codes. I'm guessing we've all seen them now. It was one of the successes. Before that, it came out and it was a feature, and some people understood what it was and others didn't. After the pandemic, certainly in the UK, let me know where you are, QR codes were used to register the fact that you had been to a specific location and various things. So it really took off. Who knows what QR code actually stands for? It's not just 2 random letters. It actually means something.
I do, but only because you told me.
Yes, you didn't before then.
No.
It means quick response. So the idea was when it came out that it was a quick way to get people to get in touch with you as a business. So all they had to do technically was point their phone at it and tap. But of course that depended on Apple, Android, Samsung, whoever, to make it that you could just point your phone or point your camera and tap. If you needed a reader app, your average person is not going to know about that. Luckily, Apple did add support for it, and as did everybody else, and now QR codes are mainstream. Way back, November 2019, that was pre-pandemic, you know. It was that far back. In episode 49, we did look at QR Factory 2. What we're looking at now is QR Factory 3. It came out on the 25th of May this year. Obviously, we were on hiatus at the time, which is why it wasn't covered straight away. The QR codes that I make with it are these type. Now, it might look like nothing spectacular, but that is a white. I've got the code in white and it's transparent. So the background shows through because the background is a gradient. And if the background you made it blue, it wouldn't match. Another one that I did that with is I changed this to orange, and again, the background is transparent. So these are the kind of codes that we're talking about making. Now, money. We need to discuss money at this stage. Right, it went subscription, but don't panic. Hang on while I explain. It went subscription for new people, for new users. There is a quarterly plan at $5.49, which obviously per year is going to cost you $21.96. But if you want it for a year, the yearly plan is $15.99. They still left lifetime access, and that was $25.99. Now, in terms of how that compares with other apps, it's reasonable. It's in the ballpark. I've seen these apps up to about £80, so it's reasonable. But they offered at the launch and continue to offer an upgrade from version 2. So if you have the old version, you are able to make an in-app purchase for $8.99, and what that gives you is lifetime access to version 3. So if you did have version 2, the lifetime access is still an option and it's only going to cost you $8.99. So I upgraded. Another reason that it was a no-brainer as far as I was concerned was whereas I only had, because there only was, the Mac app, when they launched, they also released an iOS app and an iPadOS app. And that $8.99 upgrade from the Mac version gave me all three. So if I start making a code on my desktop, or I've actually created one and I want to use it on my iPad, I can pick up the iPad and I'm done. It can open the code, I can make the changes that I need, I can do the exports, everything that the desktop app can do, the iPad app can do, etc. So that's the pricing. Don't be the person that doesn't read the thing. So I'll go there because it says do not trust. This annoys me. You've made a mistake. You've not read everything. And you're saying don't trust it. I also wanted to point out that at the bottom, they are the in-app purchases at the bottom. So just to confirm the prices are there. Right, this person's saying they paid for a perpetual license for version 2 about a year ago. They only use it once a month. And when they came to reinstall it, version 2 is no longer available. So now they feel completely ripped off. Right, if an app is upgraded to a new version, you can always download the old version from your account page. So in the purchase tab, you will find the old versions that you have bought right back to the very first app. And I think we've done right back to the very first app. One of mine was Twitter and another was Evernote from the App Store. So I can go back over 10 years and install it. But the other thing was they've clearly not read that you can upgrade from $8.99 and get the mobile versions as well. So just don't be that person, the one that doesn't read everything. Right, let's go have a look at it. So, come on, where's Alfred gone? Alfred's not running. Oh, there you are. Hello. Right. No, I'm not typing Alfred. I'm typing QR code. They can coexist. As you can see, I've got both of them installed here. I can't remember if I had to rename QR Factory 2 to 2. Rename 2 to 2, if you're with me. That sentence does actually make sense. I think I might have to have done. I'm not sure. Have you got QR Factory 2 installed?
I doubt it.
No, I doubt it.
No,
never does have. But you did have version 2, I'm sure you did. Because I said it wouldn't cost you much to upgrade either. But anyway, so QR Factory is version 3. So let's run that. Wonder what screen it's going to open on. Oh, the excitement of waiting. It's having a think about it. The wrong one. Right, let's bring it in and make it bigger. Right, I pretty much all the time I'm putting in URLs. So it remembers what I put in last time in URLs. But you have all of these options here. So if we wanted to attach to one of our emails a calendar appointment, we could put that in there. So for instance, next week's show is the 30th. I think it should be finishing on the 30th as well, with a bit of luck. It would be starting at that time and possibly finishing, let's say, at that time. And you can see what's happening over here as I'm doing it. It's automatically updating it. Now, I don't have any details at the moment, but if I put in MacBites After Hours 0175, the location is online. I don't have the URL right now. More fun and games with the MacBites crew. So I've got some information in there. I could use a specific time zone, but I probably would leave that alone because you'd probably want it in your time zone. Right, so just to show you, there are a range of these things. So I'll make this one and then you can try it and see if it works. But before we do that, once you've got the information on the left, you can move across to the right and then make changes. So I'm going to fold these up and we'll go through them one at a time. There's a whole range of things that you can do in here. That one doesn't seem to want to fold up. Right. You've got appearance, structure, the safe zone, the text at the bottom, and an icon if you want. The most important thing over here is that the code has been verified as being readable. So in the appearance, you can round the pixels off. So as I move up here, and this really does go quite a way, it rounds the pixels off so it looks a little bit robotic from the 70s. Some of them don't give you an option, but the default here is to have square pixels, but you can do that if you want. Right, the pixel colour is set to either solid, linear gradient or circular gradient. And then you would choose a colour underneath. So if this one was for MacBites and I wanted a midnight blue, I could do, that's more purpley, isn't it? That's more of a midnight blue. I can do that. If I go in and I change this to a linear gradient, I then have a starting point and an ending point. So we can see that the top is darker than the bottom. So the left-hand one is the top, the right-hand one is the bottom. And in here, I would probably have that top one set to black. And let me swap over to there and have that one reasonably dark like that. But I don't think I would have it black. I think I'd have it a bit more bluey. Like that maybe, and a bit lighter. I'd do this correctly, of course. I'd go and find the code numbers. So it looks like a gradient. And again, if you do something in here where it's too similar or it's too similar to background colour, this will say it can't read it, in which case you need to make some changes to it. The background colour on that one is white, but you can in there choose transparent and you can change the background colour if you want. In here, it would probably make sense to have that transparent, but seeing as though I don't know where I'm putting it, I'll leave it at solid, and that way it should actually work when we export it. So that's what's in the appearance drop down. Then you've got the structure. So it will automatically adjust it if it needs to adjust it to make it readable. But you can choose between low, medium, which makes it a bit bigger, high, even more intricate, and the highest, totally intricate. Just keep your eye on the verified as readable and make your choice based on that. I tend in here to put 2000. Just make it that bit bigger. And that's the structure section. Then there's the safe zone. Now the safe zone here is saying 5%. So if I take that up, you'll see what it's doing is putting a zone around the edge to separate this from any other content. And it's making it white. You can, however, take that back to 0, because sometimes if you're putting this on a slide like I did, like the MacBites one, you don't want it to have a white border when you've made the background transparent and you want it to integrate. So take that down to 0, unless you do want a border. Then you've got the text at the bottom. So at the moment, I haven't got anything in there. But if we were to say MacBites After Hours, you can see that appearing at the bottom. So it just gives an indication of where you're actually sending them. And you can change the colour of that. And you can change the font size. I never bother with that. I think a QR code needs to be a QR code, and I want it to integrate as tightly as possible with wherever I'm putting it, hence making it transparent, etc. But if you want that, it's there. Okay. What is more interesting is the centre icon. You can put an icon in the middle. So I'm frantically thinking now. Let's open up a Finder window, which is over there, and let's see if I can find an icon. I should definitely have one. It should be in a branding kit somewhere, shouldn't it? In fact, it should be in resources, unless it's in areas. Areas MacBites. Have we got branding in there? Generic artwork. No, there's no chance it's in there. Branding kit. Oh, I do. It doesn't look like it's been exported though. That's a bit weird, isn't it? But if I show you what we've got, this is the kind of stuff I've got in here. So this is my MacBites folder, but it's parent. So in here I've got resources, and there's my branding kit, and there's the MacBites icon. And I've got other stuff in there. These aren't downloaded, that one is. So I can see a preview of it. So that's not the MacBite. That's not the After Hours one. But there should be some in here. Assets, data files, outtakes, all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I've got this icon one there. So what I could do is open that. I'm opening a legacy document because this is version 2. And I could export it from there. So let's go in here. There is the MacBites icon. I'm just going to export that. No idea what it's going to export, but we'll stick it on the desktop and find out. And then we can minimise that. Off you toddle. So on the desktop, we have got, right, that one is for Notion, which demands it at 280. I've got a PDF version, and I've got a PNG version. So that PNG version is probably about right. Okay. So in here, this is the icon itself. I can go and choose that. I might be able to drag and drop it. Let's have a look. Oh, I can drag and drop it. Obviously, that's a smidgen on the large side. And now, at the bottom, we've got code has failed verification. It's not readable. That's because the icon's too big and covering most of it. But if we take that down to a reasonable size, so it's just branding in the middle, it's now saying it's readable. So let's try that at 25% of its size. And it's okay. It makes much more sense with that to put a border on it. So if I put this in, so I've got a white border around it so you can actually see it. And the code is still readable, even though that is probably a bit big. Let's change that to 30. How does that look? Not bad. And it's still readable. So you can set the colour of that. You could change the colour of the border. And you've got type in here where you can have it automatic or you can do it yourself manually. I think putting something in the middle is nicer than the text underneath. So I'm going to go in and get rid of that. Right. Which hopefully will take it away. And again, final check at this stage is that the code is readable. Right. So what I'll do with it, two options. This definition that you've just created, all of that, it's untitled at the moment because you've not saved it. So if you save that, and I could save it on the desktop or whatever, but what I did was, although it doesn't create this folder for you, I created a folder in iCloud, which against my better judgment, because the iOS version needs somewhere to read the files from. So I put them in here. And these are all the ones that I've already created. So this one is MacBites After Hours 174. No, it's 5, isn't it, next week? It's 5. Right, and save it. At that point, I have a definition that I can reload and edit either on this machine or on an iPad. But I need a version of this that I can put somewhere. So for that, I then need to export it. So I'll go to export and I'll put this one on the desktop because I want to work with it. So format, it could be a PNG, but if you want it vector so it's scalable, then PDF or EPS. I go for PDF because it's more compatible. But with a PDF, you may not get the transparent background. If you want it transparent, then you're going to have to go for a PNG or a TIFF. And they are not scalable particularly well, which is why I make it 2000 pixels. So even if I want it bigger, it doesn't pixelate and look appalling. So we'll leave it as a PNG. colour space RGB. I don't need to rotate it, but if you need to rotate it, you can do. And stick it on the desktop. Right, so we've got that on the desktop. Now I'm going to open it. It should open in preview. And there it is. So I'm going to leave that on the screen while you point your devices at it and tell me if it works. It should, depending on your device, open some kind of calendar app and try and do that for next week, is what it should do. We'll then go through and make one for just a URL, which is what I use it for most of the time. But the same process, no matter what it is, the process is identical no matter what the destination is. So let me know whether that worked for you. Let's quit preview and look at the other options you've got. So there's crypto, probably best left alone at the moment, just saying. There's email, and with the email, this is fantastic. So
mine worked.
Good, good. Did it take you there?
Yeah.
Excellent. With the email, instead of just writing a body of it or setting up a blank email with a to, you can specify the to, the CC, the BCC, the subject, and the content, which is a great way to make sure that people do reply to you. So if you want a reply, you know, hit reply and let me know. People can't seem to even hit the reply button. But if there's a QR code, they want to try it, it will write the email for them. And then they just need to put in like, so if I'd said, tell me your top 3 tutorial requests for Affinity Publisher, all of that would be filled in and you would just have to put 1, 2 and 3 in it. Would that tempt you to do it? Let me know. Right, there's a location. So if you're arranging, we did this for Dad's funeral, do you remember? Not that it was difficult to get to, but it wasn't easy to get to either. It was a bit rural. Let's put it like that. Let's see if it can find it. I'm just wondering whether I can actually spell this. Right. For a start, you're probably thinking that's Altrincham. No, it's not. It's Altringham. I know there's no G in it, which is just weird. And it's the crematorium. How do you spell crematorium? Is it A? Torium, like that. Not sure. Let's find out. It's either crematorium or crematorium.
Crematorium.
I thought so. Right, let's see if it is, because that's where he was. Let's have. Oh no, it doesn't like it. It doesn't like that. But that's not far. That's not bad actually. That's right. So it's reworded it to Altrincham with a postcode. It's got a longitude and latitude, and that is actually where it is. So when I said it was rural, I mean it's rural. So what we did was we created one of these and we did a map, and that way they could point their phone, which probably has sat-nav on it, and they didn't have to type anything, and everybody got there. Everybody got there. Can you zoom out a bit on this? You can. So you can see how rural. Where's the real streets here? That's Manchester United's training ground, so Dad wasn't far from there. That's Bramley Farm, where we have our breakfasts. And somewhere around there is where we live. So we're not far from any of it. But that is very rural. So that was why we needed to do that with a map. So that's the kind of thing you can do there. You only have to type it in. It actually made a good job of that, didn't it? Should we try Old Trafford? Old Trafford. I happen to know the postcode, which is sad, isn't it? I'm sure you know the postcode, though, don't you?
M16 ORA.
Thank you. Not just me, then. So let's put that in and see if
I also used to know the phone number.
I used to know the phone number off by heart as well. Actually, it's not doing too well there. Hang on. Let's try the search button. Go on. That is bang on accurate because they've not changed the postcode. It's on the centre spot. There you go. That's where Manchester United is. This is the Keys, where all of the TV stuff happens, but that is the ground there, right next to the railway. Oh, look at all the advertising here. I didn't know the ticket office had moved over there. That wasn't where the ticket office was the last time I looked. But there's everything you've got. And the hotel there. Right, so that's location. You can put in the information of a person. Let's not do that. Not in a live demo. Leave it alone. This would enable you to create a card for yourself and have it added, or other people. Then you've got a phone or an SMS, so this would dial you. I'm definitely not doing that. Definitely not. Don't do stuff like that. I have no idea what that is. What's SEPA?
Nothing.
It's got IBAN numbers in it, so this must be a money transfer. Oh, that'd be good, as long as it's incoming. Then we've got a social, which is you need to specify a platform. I think I do about one of those, and a username. Then you've got just plain text. So you can actually send plain text to somebody. Kids could play for hours with this, couldn't they? Sending messages to each other. The Wi-Fi I have actually used. So the Wi-Fi one, we have a guest network because, well, no one's used it in 3 years, have they? But we have a guest network. And by the front door, we have a frame, and in it is a piece of paper with a QR code on it. So anybody who comes in that wants internet, they only have to point their phone at it, tap, that's it. They don't know the password. It's just there and it works. It's fabulous. I did create one for our wireless network, and that is upstairs. So our real wireless network, I did exactly the same, and that way I know the phones and the devices tend to say, do you want to share this connection? That is something that Apple have done that does work pretty well. But it's still a good idea to have that there on the odd occasion when it's not working. It's easier to point it and tap than it is to fiddle around. And the password is in there as well. So that's actually quite practical. But once you've done it, you don't tend to need to go back unless you change your password. And of course, this one, which is the one that I use all the time. And literally all you need to do is to type in the URL. Go on, you can do it. I don't know why you're running so slow, but you can do it. That should expand to my blog. It's not doing. I have no idea why it's not doing. And it's being really slow. There we go. Maybe I needed to type faster. So I don't need the centre icon in it, so let's get rid of that. I would probably change the colours, make it bigger, etc. But all the options are identical. All you then need to do is use it. So I won't export it, but in the top corner of the screen, hover over it and tap, Mike. So when it comes up, because I'm living in the future, when it comes up, give it a tap and see does that actually work. Peter says URL came up when I tapped it, just closed. Oh.
Yeah, it's taken me to your website.
Which one was that, Peter? Let me know.
I think it was the first one.
Right, okay. Carol says, it tells me Altrincham is 2 hours, 24 minutes away. Oh, that's not far. In American terms, we in the UK speak in terms of distance, but in America, they seem to speak in terms of hours. And I was talking to somebody and he was trying to explain where he was based. And he said, and I quote, I'm near, I think is it Disneyland or Disney World in Florida? I'm near there. So in my mind, I've got, that brings a vision to me. I'm near there, he said. And then he carried on talking and he said, yeah, Disneyland's only 6 hours away. I'm like, what? 6 hours is the other end of another country here. 6 hours would be Aberdeen, wouldn't it? Mm. I think you could probably get to Aberdeen in 6 hours. Okay, it's working. Excellent, excellent. So that's the QR factory way of doing it, and that is a paid solution. If you had version 2, which was very inexpensive, then the upgrade is literally, I didn't need to think about it. You might be forced to think about it a little bit more if you didn't have that version and you want all of these snazzy options. Now, the reason that this is more expensive than the next options that I'm going to show you is that it can do so much more. It's got the calendar, the crypto, the email, the locations, the map integrations, all of that. The 3 other alternatives I'll show you can only do one thing, which is a URL. And that's why they are free. So I will take that and copy it and lose that. And we'll now start with the browsers. So we'll start with my favourite, Vivaldi. Right, and there's no point sharing that whatsoever. So if I get to a new page, there's a couple of reasons why I love Vivaldi for a start. In here, you can customize this. So if QR codes are something that you do frequently, then you can have it available from up here, like the bookmark and the drop down and the read view. I don't use that often because obviously I've got QR Factory. One option in here, can you do this? Create a QR code for this page. So it's available on the right click. You click that and it kind of drops down from the URL. It shows it to you. You get to change the URL if you want. So like it doesn't really need the slash on the end. You can copy it or you can save it to the download folder. But you'll notice the things that you can't do with that. You can't change the colour. You can't have a gradient on it. You can't put an icon in the middle. There's a lot of options that aren't there. And there's no way that you could say, send me an email and fill in the to field. So the browser options are fine as far as they go, and they're certainly fast. But I wouldn't use them if the design of the thing was important. But that's one option. Now, the reason in here, I was uncertain about whether it was on the right click, is in Vivaldi, you only really need to know one shortcut, and that is Command and E. So if I Command and E, it brings me up Alfred inside Vivaldi. It is the quick entry panel inside Vivaldi, and think of it like Alfred. So anytime I want to do anything in here, I'm like Command and E, and then I just tell it what I want. So if what I want is a QR code, the commands that you see here, that's already selected, create a QR code, and it does exactly the same, or it should do. I think it has, and it's copied it, as the other method. The reason that I do that is there's lots of things that I want to do, like clip to Evernote, and I can do it from that shortcut key. So it will show me this, there's all the stuff. If I want to add that, put in a tag, and save the clip, and that's it, it's gone off to Evernote. I can even do save it to DevonThink, and DevonThink will appear to do that. So the same shortcut key is the access point to all the features in there. That's the Vivaldi way of doing it. I have a couple more. So one is Chrome. So let's bring Chrome on. Where's that just disappeared to? Don't do that. Right, we'll go to the same place, which is there. And the same process, exactly the same process. So right click, create QR code for this page. This one's different. It puts a dinosaur in the middle. No, I don't know why either. It just does. But it's got the URL in it. This one has applied the circular thing to it. So it's rounded the corners a lot. Is our baby okay?
Yes.
She's on the fidget. And you can download it. So there's no copy option here, but you can download it. Again, you've not got much in the way of customization options with it, but if that is your browser and you don't mind a dinosaur in the middle. I remember when the church wanted a QR code, they wouldn't have wanted a dinosaur in the middle. I don't know why they put that there, but there you go. That's it in Chrome. The first browser to offer this was actually Edge, which I updated especially. I do use Edge. I use Edge for focusing. So I have this thing, what's it called? Focus at will. And it plays either mellow music or sizzly music to focus. So that's why that page is open. But I did do the update. Let's see what's new with it. Is there anything really exciting? No, that's not exciting. Now the sidebar would be exciting if it was anything like as good as Vivaldi's, but it's not. So let's leave that be. News feeds. No, not putting them in a browser. That comes up a couple of times for me, and I'd rather it didn't. No. And there you go. Oh, look. And you can even get this. They're eating their own dog food and drinking their own champagne because there's Edge for mobile and there's a QR code to get it. But how do we do that? Right. I do believe we had that on the clipboard. And off we toddle to it. Same process. Right click on here. Only difference with this is, where's the QR code gone? There we go. Create QR code. I've got this set in dark mode and I think one of the others wasn't. That looks identical to Chrome with the exception of the dinosaur. So I would probably use Edge above that, but I think the one that comes from Chrome, if I'm in a rush, I would use that one. But all of the extra options that you get in QR Factory make it worth it. But there you go. There's an extra 3 ways of doing it that's completely free. Just depends what you want to do with it. Let me know in the chat, what would you do with your QR codes? Okay, that one can go away now. Oh, I have to do that twice, don't I? Because, you just want to annoy me.
SFN says, why would anyone pay for QR codes? Well, I think you've...
I hope I've explained
Yeah.
that. I mean, if you're using a lot of codes, or you're making them for other people. Didn't somebody say that in the chat? They're making them for other people.
Patricia.
So if you look at the example there, the software comes from Tuna Belly. So that one is feedback about QR Factory. So it's one of those things that I can imagine at the beginning you think, I don't need that, because you've not got it now, so I don't need it. But once you have, you start thinking of all the things that you could actually do with it. And like I said, would it be worth my while paying for that just for the Wi-Fi things? Probably not. But if I'm putting a QR code on a slide and I do that multiple times a week, then to have that integrated and look nice in terms of colours, layout, the quality of it, so I can get a vector one, all the things that are on here really. You've got customization, you can use logos, you can put text below it if you want to. It automatically verifies that it's readable. There are 12 templates by which it's talking about the calendar, the crypto, the mail and all of that. Different file formats to export it to. And I didn't demonstrate this because I didn't have that data, but you can actually batch process. So if you are a company and you have 500 employees and you want to create 500 QR codes for their email, you can do that automatically. You have them in a spreadsheet, import them in, it will generate 500 and then export and save them for you. If you were to do that by hand, that would probably be worth the cost of the app. So it can do that as well. And like it says, it supports Avery and Dymo labels. This one is just talking about the person cards. I don't think I've ever been given a person card. Have you? I can see it as a speaker though. You should think about that for that thing you're speaking at. That would work well. What we got here. This is what the batch window looks like. So you need a CSV file, which you can create in Excel. You need to choose an output folder. If you want an icon, what you want it to look like, how you want it laid out, and it will do the rest. So for conferences and stuff like that, it would be amazing. It just depends if you have that need, I guess. So this is all the options that you've got, the safe thing and the icon in the middle, etc. I think the fact that it can verify is important. I don't particularly change it in terms of rounding corners and stuff like that. I must admit, I don't. I have done the gradient on it, and I think that does look nice. Your formats here are explained. That is a bitmap. It's if you scale it, which you are only getting a bitmap with the browser versions, it will go iffy at the edges, which could impact. I've seen these like on the tube, on a poster. And they're more than a pinhead. If you did that with bitmap, they would pixelate. But the vector options that you get in here means that you can keep the quality. And as it says here, you can move between the Mac and the iPad with the QRD file, which is the source file. I have never used this next feature, but, if it was important, there is a command line interface. Do you remember the CLI?
I do remember the CLI.
My Amiga 500 had a CLI. Loved it. Basically, it's like a DOS window that you actually type into and it does the rest of it, but most people leave that alone. Right, freebies. I have a freebie for you. It is an Affinity. Well, no, I'm lying already. No, it's an InDesign file. It's for a magazine and it's really highly designed. But when I say it's for InDesign, it comes with an IDML file. So there is an INDD, which is the latest version of InDesign, and there is the file format that's for Exchange that Affinity Publisher understands. And that one is an IDML file, InDesign markup language file. And I have tested this, it works. The images don't come with it, they've got placeholders, but there is a PDF version of the finished product inside it. You can get this from Creative Market. Oh look, there's a QR code. So you could point at that and make sure it works, Mike. It should go to creativemarket.com/free-goods, which I'm sure it does because I've tested it. So that's where you can get it from. In terms of what the rest of it looks like, I was dubious about the colours. They do kind of work, but I'm not thinking they're a colour that I would actually have put together. I'd have gone for the white like that. But there's a lot of pages that you can use. You can make master pages with them. You can use them as is. You can get rid of them, make derivatives, whatever you need to do with that. And you can see it's already got page numbers on it. It's got running titles at the bottom and lots and lots and lots of layouts. And that is completely free this week. They do 4 freebies each week. And that is one of this week's. So that will take you to a page which will have all 4 freebies listed. If you're watching this on demand after Tuesday, because Tuesday is the day they change the freebies, there will be another 4 freebies, but I have no idea what they're going to be. Right. So talking of freebies, right. Another QR code coming up. We are in the midst of our Advent extravaganza, which is where we do freebies for 24, sometimes 25 days. And one of the ones this week was an Affinity Publisher photo book template. And I do mean Affinity Publisher. It is not something that has come through InDesign. It is an Affinity Publisher one. I know this because I created it. So where you need to go to get hold of a copy of this is elainegiles.com/affinity-publisher-photo-book-template. I know that's long, but it does make sense. And there's a QR code, which hopefully goes to where it should do, Mike. Let me know if it does. Fingers crossed, hey? So what I thought I'd do tonight is show you the download, what's in it, and how to use it, how to edit it, and customise it for what you need. So let me know in the chat, have you got it? Have you got it? Right, let's head off. So somewhere I have it, and I've got window upon window open here. Let me get rid of it. What are you? Oh, you're Vivaldi, are you? Right, let's have a look. Do I need you? No, I don't need you. I need to find a window, which you always opened on the other window this time. And I need this. So, what I've got here, I've downloaded it from that URL. So that's URL file, and this is the download. Right, it's pertinent to show you this. It's only a meg, which is surprising given what was in it. But in it, you will find, so I'll double click it, show you what you get. You will get this folder, and inside the folder, you will get 2 versions of the template. There is a template version 1, which is obviously for Affinity Publisher version 1, and a version 2 file. This is what will happen if you try opening them in the wrong version. So if I go in here and say open with, and somewhere in here I've got Affinity Publisher, this is the one where it will say, nah, this was created in a newer version. So you will start to see this happening if you are on version 1. And this is the latest version of version 1. Why are you opening? No, that shouldn't happen. That should not happen. I have no idea why that's working. That shouldn't happen. It should say it was created in version 2. That was interesting. Let's try opening. Have I done that with the right one? I did. I tried opening that one. You strange thing. Because I did test this. If you try opening version 1 in version 2, you get a different message. Although we didn't see a message at all there, did we? Patricia says, is this the Affinity photo template in the Christmas email? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's the one. This was one of the messages I wanted. This is what you see if you try opening, and this is new, a version 1 file in version 2. So it's actually giving you very useful information because you may have acquired this from somewhere to make a couple of edits with it and then send it back to them. But if the other person is using version 1, you're not going to be able to do that. So what it's saying is, if you edit this and save it, it's not going to be usable in version 1 anymore. So you need to open it and do a save as to make it work. That's all that is telling you. But it will actually open the file. You just then need to you need to do a save as. Right, it doesn't matter for me what I do with this, whether it's version 1 or version 2, because they are identical. Right, so what we have in here, although I've called it a template, I've made it a file rather than an actual template. Because if I make it an actual template, people get confused about how to open it and where it should be stored. So most of the other templates do exactly the same thing in terms of it being just a file. Keep the zip file in case you overwrite something and you need to go back to it. But what you have in here, there's only one master page, which is Master A. Now, obviously, in a template, you would normally have lots and lots and lots of master pages. But again, convention is that when people produce a template, and they call it a template, it's not a template, it's a file. And they put the pages in as pages. Now, if you want master pages based on that, I will show you how to do that. So all I did with Master A was I put the size of it, the bleed of it, the margins of it, and I've got columns there lined up for the text and the images. So all of that is showing because in the view here, I've got show the bleed, show the margin, show the guides. I could show the grid, the base, like all of this. So all of that is on the template Master A. And that's the only one that's a template page, a master page. In the pages, this is where all the pages are in here, all 30 odd of them. Right, there are no images because I can't give, even if the images are free, I can't put them in a product and give them to you. So I could create one of these that's got all the images in it and then make a PDF of it. But, you know, who has time for that? I haven't got time for that when I'm trying to produce 24 of these in 24 days. So maybe that's something that I'll do down the line, in which case I will update this. But what I've done is the placeholders where you can drag and drop the images are placed on the page, and I have put a very pale pink background on them so you can distinguish what is a drop zone from what is not a drop zone. So this one would be for the cover. Before you even start, you may want to look through these and think which ones you would repurpose. So for instance, if we look at this one, if you think I like that layout and I want to use more of them, so I want 4 of those pages, that might be something to make a master page of. So copy the lot and add it to a master page. Alternatively, you could duplicate it from in here. Just say duplicate 2 pages. So you don't necessarily need it to be a master page. It depends on how you're configuring and setting this up. But it's simple enough to make it a master page if that is what you want. So in here, I will grab everything there and copy it. I will go into the master page, add a master page. And do I want it like that? I think I do. I think everything is the same there. Are you an inch in? Oh, let's hope so. And paste that on. And there you go. So it is very simple to turn these pages into master pages and apply any customizations you want as well. Right, so in here, how these work. Nothing is locked. It's completely up to you. But where's my stock panel? Where's my stock panel? There's the stock panel. There. Right, so if I put in here wedding and get some wedding pickies, it's incredibly simple to work with this. Drag and hopefully drop, although nothing lit up, did it? But there it is. So I can scoot these down in size, and I might with that want to rotate it if I do. So this bit's rotated. I may want to go in there and actually rotate that image like that. And rinse and repeat for everything that you want to put in there. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to take them from stock. It's probably going to be somebody's wedding who's close to you, but it is a case of just drag and drop and put these where you want. Couldn't be easier to work with. Now, this one is the only one that has got captions underneath. So if we zoom in, there is a caption there. And there is a caption style. So I've added in text styles and you can see it's got caption. So there's 3 of them on this page. But if I decide that that's a little bit small and I would prefer it to be bigger, if I make a change to my caption, so go and edit the caption style, And in here, the size is 10. If I take that up to much bigger, you can see what's happening over on the right. So here, that area there, as I go through this, is start making it much bigger or smaller. So let's make that 16. And OK. And the reason it's important that it's a style is that all of your captions will be updated. You can, with these captions, just copy and paste them somewhere else. So if I grab hold of them and copy, and I go down to another page, which has 4, like that, and I paste them in, I've got 3 from there. I will option drag that one and place that over there, and they are simply put on another page. Again, if this is something that you wanted to do, you might want to change this into a master page, but it's simple enough to work with it. Right, so let's get back to where we were. So we finished that one, and what I've done is I've started off with a single image on the cover. I've then gone to 2 by 2, and that's why these columns at the back I've gone for 6, because with 6 it splits nicely into 2. It also works for 3, and it works for 4. It works for 4 that way. These were really quick to line up. And all of these are drop zones that you can drop these images into. So it couldn't be faster to do it. Now I'm doing it from the stock, but as I say, this could be from the Finder window. It could be from Eagle. It could be from the Photos app. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. It is really fast to just drag and drop them in. Now, some of these are too big because obviously these are stock. But when you slide this, these are actually picture placeholders. They're not just a frame, so you get your ability to scoot them down in size as well. What that looks like in the layers panel over here is you can see there's hundreds of picture frames. Let's grab one. Let's grab that one. And it will show you in here that that is a picture frame. The picture is this bit here. So if you want to make that smaller, so this one here, for instance, let's grab that one. On the slider, as I slid it down, you can see it takes it to 16, but what if that is still too big? So let me undo some stuff here. Right, so that's what came in. If I scoot this down, it takes me to there and I can't go any more. I have to let go, it twangs back to the middle, and then I carry on. And if I want to do it more, let it go, move back in, and there we go. If you're not, if you're like, I don't want to let it go 3 times. If you go and you've got the original and you click on the photo in here, you can actually just grab the corner and take that down and do it in one maneuver, which is faster. There we go. You can in here as well move it around. So you could drag that around. So you want to focus on that one there. And even use the arrow keys to move it up fractionally because it will twang, but the arrow keys will let you move in micro movements. So there's the 2 pages with 16 on. Then I've put some in with text. So this one is one big image. Oh, let's grab some. There must be something in here. I thought that looked like a skull. And oh, we've used that one before. I like that image. There we go. I've also put the heart thing in here. So all these are, you've got 2 options when it comes to your shapes, your picture frames. You've got the rectangle and you've got the ellipse tool, but you also have all of these shapes. And one of those was the heart at the bottom. Another one is the tear tool. So these will work exactly the same way. All you need to do is draw that on. And obviously that is not the same as this because this has a cross in it to indicate it's a drop zone. But once you've got the shape, if you right click on that and say convert to picture frame, now it's a drop zone and you can add whatever you want to it. So let's drag and drop that onto it. That would work particularly well. What have we got where we can put it? Let's put it here. Right, that would work with the shapes. So if I go back to the tear tool and I drag that out. So we've got something that looks like that. You might think you don't want that in a wedding album, but if you wanted to say that where the venue was, you could scoot that round and then you could drop something in it so it looks like a map pin. You even have the ability up here to change how that looks. So that's more like a map pin. And you can scoot it from side to side. So if they're making their vowels, that looks like a speech mark. And however and whatever you have done with that, if you then right click on that and convert it to a picture frame, you can drag and drop something in it. So if I, instead of wedding, put church, I know there are other venues for weddings, but let's keep it simple. Do we have some kind of church that doesn't look absolutely terrifying? Oh, that one's pretty. Let's choose that one and drop that in there. That could be a map pin, however you want to work it. Sometimes, in relation to that, it would work better if it had a border on it. And there is an easy way to do that. So let's come into here and drag one in. That's about right for a map pin. Flip it round. Okay. At this point, it's just a shape. So at this point, I might want something has got a stronger colour on it. Right, then I'm going to grab this and I am going to draw out a circle. Right, the shape at this point does not need to have an image in it, but this circle, if I bring this on here, now it really starts to look like a map pin. And if I take that down a bit, so we've got a border on it, like that, and then drag and drop the church into there, now it looks even more like a map pin. So these are the kind of things that you can do with it. Oh, I've got a big orange box appeared. Thank you for that, Patricia. Much appreciated. Right, so that was the shapes that we've got in there. Let's go back and have a look what else we've got in here. I did put a heading up here. I made that Trajan Pro. I think there is a free version of Trajan. Just do the Googles if you don't have Trajan Pro. Or you can change that because in the text styles, it is a heading 1. Why is it important? It's a heading 1. Well, I didn't add a table of contents in here because that's more like an Argos catalogue, isn't it? But if you did want a table of contents, that's a way to work with it. So make sure that you formatted it, you've got it the style that you want, and you've included it in a table of contents. The text in here is just filler text. But what I did do with this is make sure that the shapes that I added in, like this one, had a wrap put on them. So in the wrap options, the wrap on that was tight around the heart and it was set to 3mm. If you wanted that more, you could take that up. That's only doing it on one side. There we go. Or you could do it square, which would push it down completely out of the way. But I thought it was tight at 3, worked reasonably well. Right, now we didn't do that with this map pin. So I've got the map pin shape. I have got the circle. We will move this so you can see this happening in the layers panel. So these are the two I've got selected. Group those together. And then as a group, I want that to kind of point to an image, which could be one of these, however you want to work it. But let's say some of it is in the text. So I've got it lined up there like that, but some of it is cutting into the text. So all we need to do is put a tight thing round there, change it from 0 to give it some breathing space, and you see how 3 works. 4's a bit much, but 3 works. So these are all the things that you can do to customize it to make it work for you. The other pages are merely a variation on a theme. So we've got 4 images, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. This one's got 2 images cutting into text in the middle. This one has them in the middle with the text pushed outwards. Oh, then I got exotic. These are just square images, but I rotated them round. So they were diamonds. You can rotate the image that you actually put inside it. So if we grab one of these and pop that in, it will probably rotate it. In fact, that's way too big, isn't it? Actually, it hasn't. I don't need to do it. There we go. Probably need that a wee bit smaller, like that. So then we got text pages. Now, the thing that you can do, which again was why it wasn't worth making the master pages, is you might decide that you would like a spread, 2-page spread, that's got text on the left and the diamonds on the right. So with them just being pages at the moment, instead of having to edit the masters, you can edit them in here and then make masters of what matters to you. So that is really simple. So if we come down to here, go to our pages and insert 2 pages, and we don't want it after 34, we want where we are. And where on earth are we? 26. So let's take that down to 26. And OK. Oh, I think I've split it now, haven't I? That was ridiculous. Never mind. We'll take that back. We'll put it back where it belongs. Right, so I've got a blank page and I've got these things here. So if I want this, which is 3 columns of text, copy it and paste it on the left here. Drag it into place. And then the other things that I want is these 2. So copy those, double click this page. I want them over on this side, and there they are. And then I can make a master page out of that. I could also flip it round, make another master page, put the diamonds on the left and the text on the right. What else have I got in here? I've got 2 big images on this one. I've got the big image and text. I've got this one being the mirror image of that with the text on the left and the image on the right. One thing you will have to think about with this is if you are writing something up. So I did this once for my mum. They'd been on holiday and she went to Carnforth railway station. And it's got quite a history. It was where Brief Encounter was filmed. So I put the story of Brief Encounter, the film, and the filming of it and all these little backstories in this thing. And what you need to think about is this frame, if the text in that frame is linking to this one, you will manually need to link the 2 together. Because I don't know, when I'm creating the template, I have no idea how you want the text. And it's easier to be able to just link 2 text frames. So in here, I would click on that, not do that with it, click on it once, hover over where I want it to link and click. It's easier to do that than it is have you unbake the cake and have to split the text frames. So it's easier just not to have that in the first place, which was what I've done. And then on the back, you have another full image. So let's go and put one in just because we can. Let's go back to weddings because they're frightening me, those things. Some of them are very dark and dour. Right, let's have a look what we've got here. Something nice that's like a wrap-up of the day. Oh, how about some fireworks? Like that. There you go. And that is how you use it. Now you can, of course, take it further if you want. So let's look at these here. Some things you might want to think about doing are these things are placeholders. And at the moment, they've got no border on them or whatever. But if you wanted to put a border on it, you could do that. So if we go into here, I mean, black's a bit much, isn't it? But maybe some kind of weirdy pink thing going on. And make that much bigger. Like that. You don't want to go through all of these and do that multiple times because you might forget that it's 6 points and you might forget what the colour is. So one thing you can do is go into the styles. Now, remember the difference. There are text styles, nothing to do with shapes. And there are styles which are object styles, nothing to do with text. The one difference to remember with these is text styles automatically update and object styles do not. But in here, I think I've got my images, haven't I? Image styles. Or the other one. One of these is a demo one. No, neither of them are demo ones. It's me creating multiple things. Never mind. Right, all you need to do to create it is make sure that you've selected it. And then go into here and say add style from selection. That means you can very quickly restyle other things. So if I wanted these to match, or I had like 3 or 4 different looks that I wanted, simple case of going through and doing this. Now, at this point, these do not update. So if I decide that there's a little bit too much pink, a girl can have too much pink. This girl doesn't like pink. So if I decide, no, that doesn't work, I want the borders to be blue, you cannot update that style and have these update. But Affinity Publisher has your back. If you go into select with something selected, so I've got this box selected with the gaudy pink border. And if I say select the same stroke colour, it will select all of them. At which point, in here, I could turn that off, and it turns off all of them. Or I could go into the colour and I could say, no, I want it more bluey. So let's take this down so we can get some blue into it. And although you cannot update those, that is a way that you can update them. And obviously at that point, if that's what you want, then you simply go back into the styles and you add that from the selection. And then you can rename these, delete them, do whatever you want with them. The other thing that you might want to do, which is, I don't like to say it is an alternative to, but it certainly enhances what you can do. Right, in these assets that you have, this is just a sample set of assets that I've got. We did a Sudoku, didn't we? I don't suppose you'd want that in the wedding album, but you might. Right, these shapes that you've got, if you think I'm not sure whether I want to use them or not, or I do and I want to use them in multiple things, select that and go up to the assets here. And is it that one or the one below? I think it's the one below. It's this one, isn't it? Add from selection. So within the actual assets themselves, you have individual groups, and it is the lower burger menu where you can add from selection. And that will put, eventually, it'll have a think about it. You may come across some weirdness with the assets panel. I certainly have. I've broken it 20 times. I'm sure they'll fix it in the end. Right, you've got that in there and you can repurpose it by just bringing it on. And notice that because it had a wrap set on it, it automatically pushes the text out of the way. So you could have over in your assets lots and lots of different assets. So for example, like the heart one, you might want to have that available. So these are things that you can do to enhance that template. It augments what's available in the template. You take the content out and you can put it over there. For consistency's sake, if you wanted a small image in one of these pages, rather than just eyeball it, you get more consistency if you grab one of these, which is already scaled, add from selection, move down to the page where you want it, and bring it on. And I don't think with that one I added the wrap. So I might want to add the wrap first and then do that. There we go. So what I would do with that is go back to here and delete it. That one had no wrap on it, but this one does. I mean, where I took it from, it didn't need a wrap, but this one has got a wrap on it, and then add that one. Add from selection, drag and drop that somewhere else, and you can see the text is being pushed away from it. So these are all things that you're probably aware of, but this time you're pulling them together in relation to a template that you're creating, working with. And it's easy to forget. You may have the pages and you've got the images, but it's easy to forget, an image style, that would save time. Because by even if you have no idea what you want it to be in terms of colour. So let's say these things here are like, I want some kind of border, but I don't know what colour that I want it. Then what I would suggest you do is do something utterly ridiculous on it. That means you would absolutely know that is not what you want. And then as you eyeball it, like, oh, I needed to sort the colour out for that. So what would be the worst colour that you could have for a wedding? Do you think brown, Mike?
Yeah.
A really yucky brown. Like that. Go and put a stroke on that. I've got a stroke on it and make it bigger. So there's a really yucky brown. If anybody had brown at the wedding, I do sincerely apologise. But a really yucky brown. And then you know that you need to do something with it. Why is that important? Well, the first thing to do when you've done that is to go and make a style of it. Now, you're going to say to me, why? I never want to use it. I know, but you want consistency. So you could use this as a note to yourself that that picture, that one and that one aren't right. Right? So you are going to format them with the brown. That indicates to you I need to check these before I output it. And by having a style, you are absolutely certain that it is exactly the same brown, which means that you can select the same, and I need one selected first, that one. You can select the same and choose a stroke colour. And that way everything will be selected right across the board, and you can then apply a totally different colour to it, either from a style or manually. So hopefully that gives you ideas of how you can use that. Even if you only use it to play around and learn the features, hopefully it will have served its purpose. So let me know in the chat if it has. Do we have any questions at that point?
We do. Patricia says, how does text flow work when you create the new pages out of order?
That depends on how you've got it mapped up. So I don't have any master pages that are controlling that, so I'm doing it manually. Some of the stuff that I've recently been working on, let's have a look if they're where I think they are. Where's our 12? I think I moved these, in which case it'll scream. Oh, it's not. It's having a think and it's doing it. Right, some of this stuff that I've put together, these pages were not created in order. So these tutorials and stuff. So what I did was there is a frame and I manually added it to it. There was another one. Trying to think which one it was. And I was playing around with the text size and the baseline grid. And it meant that I had overset text. And I just added it in at the end and manually handled it. So I manually handled how the text was working. You have to think, in fact, I think it's actually really helpful to think with this, that the text, the creation of the text, the formatting of the text is totally separate from the writing of it. So write the text outside of Affinity Publisher, because Affinity Publisher's got some weird shortcuts going on when it comes to navigating text. They don't match any other app on the Mac. So Mike, you ended up with this, didn't you? Mike was in Publisher trying to create a document, typing into it, trying to create a document. And you said to me, all his dirty secrets are coming out now. You said to me, how do I put page break in? And what was I like? Slam the brakes on. What do you mean put a page break in? And Mike said, because that needs to be there. And I said, you don't touch the page breaks until the very last thing. Because if you move a graphic, you change the size of the text, everything's going to move out. So what I do is, the text would be in Scrivener or a text editor or Obsidian. And I would hone the text until I was almost certain that every word was right. Then I'll have a folder, or I'll use Eagle, and I'll put all of the graphics in there that I need. Usually sequentially numbered, or some kind of indication of placement where they're going. And then when I move to Publisher, I then totally change mental modes. I'm no longer the content creator who wrote this. I don't care what the text says now. I don't even look at it. Now I'm in the mode that I'm doing layout. And if you don't split the jobs like that, I think you make the job way more difficult for yourself. But in terms of inserting a page, you would have to manually reflow that text. Another way of doing it is, if the text frame is not on the master, if you've added it to a page, you can actually grab the text frame, cut it, and put it on the page that you've inserted, which is another way of doing it. But personally speaking, I think it's better to get the text and all of that sorted first. Go and do the layout that you want, and then add the text to it. And the final step is, if you really, really do need a page break, then put a page break in to help lay it out. But 9 times out of 10, you don't need the page break. So I'm trying to wean Mike off word mentality, aren't I? Because if you need a page break, why do you need a page break? And if you're going to tell me because that's a heading 1, then put it in the style. Automatically say every heading 1 starts on a new page. So there's lots and lots of features inside Publisher that can help you with that layout. But if your mindset is in Word I did X, it actually ends up being more difficult. But yeah, it's a manual thing. Do we have any more?
We do. Patricia says, how do I import those styles you've created in that template?
Right. Do you actually mean these styles that I have created, or styles that you may have created? How this would work, let's go create a new one and have a play around with them. So I'm going to add a new category of styles. So it wants this. So I'm going to put Elaine's template, right? I don't think the name matters at all when we get it outside of here. I think you get to name it on the way in. But what I would do with that, I would then go and get these and I would add them to it. So add style. So this one is probably going to be, I would usually do something like this. Blue 6-point stroke. So I know exactly what it is. We had a pink one somewhere, didn't we? That'll do there. So do the same with that. So this is really just to get them in here and do a rename there. And that one is pink. And that is also 6-point stroke. Right. And we'll put the dodgy brown in as well. Where's the dodgy brown gone? Did I get right? I think I got rid of the dodgy brown. Or did I? Oh, no, that's a pink one. I got rid of the dodgy brown. Let's change the colour of that to dodgy brown again, which would be somewhere up here, wouldn't it? Hideous, hideous, hideous. Yeah, that's possibly a bit dark. Right, let's say that. Have a look how bad that is. Oh, it's dodgy brown, isn't it? Right, so go up here for the third time and add from selection. Now, this one I could call dodgy brown 6-point stroke, but it might make more sense to rename it something like pre-flight check. And that means, you could do a search for that and basically you're going to mark that up as something that you want to check before you finally create it. Right, so from in here, to take these, to give these to you, or for you to install these on another machine, you go up to the burger menu, you export them from here, and I will put them on the desktop so we can see them. See, it says untitled, but we'll put Elaine's template, and they are saved. So your machine would look like these aren't here. So what I'll do with that to replicate that is delete the entire category. Are you sure you want to delete Elaine's template? Yes. Which leaves us with the defaults and all of the others. So what you would then do, if you had a copy of that, is you would go to there, you would import the styles, point it to the location, which is the desktop, and click open. And that would add them. So in here, there it is. So what I will do is minimize that and go and get those on the desktop. We'll zip them just in case. And then we need to put them somewhere, don't we? I know where we'll put them. We will put them in Cloud App. And this is how I access Cloud App. So we will grab that and put that up there. When it's finished, I should have a URL. And oh, that's a very, very, very long URL. Do you know why? You know why that's a long URL? Oh dear, it might not like that at all. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to shorten that. So this is how I shorten a URL. And that's better. Let me know if that works. Let me know if that works. Right, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Tom. Do you think we'll ever see more photo tools within Publisher like in Pages? Conversely, will we ever see Pages do double page spreads?
Can't see the addition of the tools because they're relying on Studio Link. So I can't see them doing that. I think I've been able to do everything that I wanted to do without opening Photo. It's very unlike me to open Photo full stop. If I show you that brushes one that we had open, is the brushes one still open?
That link works for me, by the way.
Excellent. Right, I'm opening up Genuine File. Genuine File. This is one of the things in the Advent thing. So in here, I had the need to put stuff like this, but I also had the need to use the brushes. So these brushes, the smoke brushes, the water brushes, right? These brushes. So these are pixel-based brushes. I did not need to go into Photo full stop. So that bit there, you can see it making a selection around there. That is artwork that is pixel-based. And if I was using even the Adobe suite, you'd have to go from Photoshop to InDesign and back again. But what you can do in here is you can change to the photo persona. Have a look in the layers over here. I don't know what you're doing making that big. And what I've got here, it says pixel, and that is all of this bit here. So if I wanted to add anything to these pixel bits, that's how I created it. So if we whip back in here, and I'm not going to edit that one because, you know, it's not broken. So let's make a new one. That will do nicely. So let's say I wanted to replicate that. What I would do is I would add a text frame, or I would have a text frame for the text. So I'm going to fill that with filler text. And I now don't need that much text, obviously didn't write that much about it, but we'll say there's a paragraph at the top like that. And I now want to just spray some brush stuff on here. And this was what I did. I switched over to the photo persona and I added a layer at the top, a pixel base layer, for it to put the content on. I switched to the brush tool. And in the brushes, I have all the brushes. I've got lots of these that I installed. So you can see water splash brushes, other kind of brushes. So let's get the, I don't know what on earth they were called now. Probably spray splatter. Will you spray splatter? Right, so it's one of these, yes. So all I did with this was get that to be like the right size, choose a colour, and I think I stuck with the really basic ones. So I wanted one that was red. One click. And I've got the splatter at the back. Change to yellow, change the brush. So let's go for that brush. Oh, yes, that's nice. Put that down there. And you can see, you can't see too well with that colour. But if I zoom in, you can see, as I'm hovering there, that there's all these little splashes coming off it as well. So let's go back and get a blue one and one of the others. That looks like the red one, so let's get a different one. Oh yes, that's nice. You can see all of the dots on that, and all I'm doing is clicking that once. And it uses the brush. Now you can draw with it if you want, so let me take this. So I'm making the brush much smaller. You can draw with it if you want, but with these brushes, that doesn't make any sense to draw with them. So all I'm doing is clicking once. Right, at that point, I've got the brushes that I want. I'll probably add one more in the lower corner. What can we get with this? Just some green across it like that, just to fill that lower corner in. I then, in here, switch back to that tool just to get rid of the brush, because it's very difficult to access the tools when the brush head is like 5,000 pixels and it's a weird shape. I switch back to Publisher. And there is my artwork that I can work with. So I'm going to undo it, because what I would do with that in the layers, the pixels are on the top. So if we look at this, the paint is over the top of the text. And I would just move that down so it was below the text, and we are done. So while I've just, used a brush, done some brush things, it could have been any photo work that you needed to do. So I don't see them adding it, because that's what Studio Link's for. And I must admit, it takes a change in mindset. It's a workflow thing that you know, for years and years, I've used Photoshop since 1993. Your mindset is, I need to switch to my photo editor, but they need you to change your mindset to, I'm in Publisher. Publisher is like, if it's in Publisher you're working, then you can just switch to your vector tools or switch to your photo tools without leaving the app. So I didn't even have photo open. So no, I don't think they will. The other part of that question was what something Apple would do. Was that double spreads? Will Apple do spreads? Apple are a law unto themselves. I honestly don't know. The stuff they're adding is utterly ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. They're adding things like, I went into Keynote the other day, not been into Keynote since possibly pre-pandemic. I needed to go into Keynote because I have one file that's a template that needed fixing. I didn't break it, but it needed fixing. So I go into Keynote and I get this thing that's like, Keynote's been updated. Here's the new features. I thought, oh, have a look at that. Used to get so giddy with that. And I read it and I thought, collaboration something, chat, whatever, shared. And I'm like, no. I don't know many people who need that level of corporate executive chatting or sharing or working with that use Apple. They'd use Office. But Apple are adding those features. Now, they're probably adding those kind of collaboration features. I mean, Mike and I collaborated on one presentation, didn't we? The bagels one. And honestly, it was hit and miss whether it actually worked. Mike would open it one day and he said, I can't get into it. He says it's not shared. I have to come back, I have to reshare it. I've already shared it once. The stuff they're adding for collaboration, I cannot understand why. I wish they would add back the features that they had in these apps. And we're looking now, 11, 12 years ago. When they brought out that version, could have been Lion, and they ripped all the features out. And I kept saying, I'm waiting for the real version. I wish they'd add that back. On a personal level, the thing that's most missing from Pages is full compatibility, full feature parity with iBooks Author. They deprecated iBooks Author to such a level you can't even buy it anymore. But that is still the best way to make an iBook. And they're saying we'll add these features to Word. Yeah, you've got a year on that. Even a decade would help. Because they're making that. So far, that must be easy 2 years ago. They're making zero effort to do that. So I have no idea what they'll think about adding next. They are a law unto themselves. What else have we got in terms of questions?
We've got two actually, but nothing to do with this.
Right.
One is from Jamie, who says, for the very end, depends if they're at the very end, is it possible to see a demo in the future showing the backup of iPhone photos onto something other than Apple's Photos app?
Yep, we can do that. We've got about 5 different ways of doing that, haven't we?
And from Patricia, which goes back to the AI,
yep.
Can you try a well-known poem title to see if it plagiarizes the poem? Maybe write Robert Frost's The Road Less Travelled. So she says, maybe write The Road Travelled Less.
Right, so we'll ask it for a poem. And we'll say The Road Travelled Less. See what it does. What does that? How's that for everybody? I have no idea. Can you find the poem and then we'll do a comparison, Mike? Oh, Richard says he uses Amazon Photos. Don't forget, Amazon Photos is fine, but don't forget that Amazon Drive's RIP at the end of the year. That's sad because I used to use that. Right, so what words have we got for whatever the poem was originally?
I don't know. I've got an audio book. That's not going to help.
No, Mike, that's not going to work. Shall we try Robert Frost? Robert Frost.
The Road Less Travelled, M. Scott Peck.
Right. Right, the road not taken. Right, and then go there and tile them next to each other so we can have a look. There we go. I actually read something about this poem a couple of months back, and someone was saying that it wasn't. He didn't intend what was written. Or what most people take from it. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? It's not verbatim. Let's put it like that.
No.
Right, what else have we got for questions?
Tom says, can you take a picture of Justice, contrast the brightness, resize it, flow some text around it with Publisher? As a non-fiction offer, we use a lot of pictures and images and graphics.
A picture of Justice, contrast the brightness, resize it and flow text around it. If you mean flow text around something, yeah, we did that in... Which demo had the ice cream in it? It was how to do a custom flow. It was the one with a Scottish brochure in it. I will find out. I will charge Mike with adding that to my list of to-dos. And I'll try and find it. Right. Patricia says she can't get the link. Couldn't access the link. Is this the one that you said worked?
I don't know. She hasn't said.
Should we try it again? I'll tell you what. I'll try it here as well, and we'll see what it does. Right. What are you doing? Having a think. Well, you might have got there, Mike. It's not taking me anywhere. Oh, we could have overwhelmed it, couldn't we? We could. I'll tell you what I'll do. Would it be easier to upload it again or not? Cloud app. I think it's .com. No, it's not. I need to work out where Cloud app is. Right. Cloud app. There we go. I'm going to get...
Hang on. It's auto-downloaded.
Oh, right. So it doesn't show you anything.
No.
So now you've got 15 copies of it. Excellent.
I've got 3 copies.
Okay. I would have done that properly, but I've got Cloud App wired to provide me images for Obsidian. I'll show you a workflow of that one day. Right, what else have we got?
I think that's it.
Right, okay. So we're going to do something quite exciting.
Yeah, she's got 6 of them.
Oh, good. Right, we're going to do something quite exciting with an unboxing. But I'm going to need to do some jiggery-pokery first to get it working. So... Let's do all of this. Right. So before we head off into the unboxing, if you didn't have a copy of that, you need to go there and there's a form and it will send it back to you. All right. So I'll leave that up there while I reach for this and try and get this to work. It's been a while with the unboxing and we thought we'd try it a slightly different way. But hopefully you like the unboxing. Right, so I need to bring that over. Is that fully charged? I'm trying to rely on my phone, which may or may not work out to be a good idea. There is every possibility that it won't. We'll find out. So what's that saying? Oh, right, okay. So that looks like it's working in terms of I can see stuff. So it's our first unboxing for a while, isn't it? An absolute age, our unboxing. So that's what we'll be attempting to do. So what I'm going to do at this point is switch you over to a poster. Talk amongst yourselves for a few seconds while I try and sort this out.
Carol wants to know if you're doing Ship 30 in January. It'll be her first time.
Yes, I am. I was on the captain's table thing today, sorting that out. So let's head over there. Right. So I need to lose half of this stuff that's on my desktop, etc., etc. I need to make sure that that is showing there. There we go. Fingers crossed it continues to work.
You want me to hold anything?
Why is that doing what it's doing when I don't want it to do that? Now it's vertical. Before, I swear it wasn't. So I'm not going to be able to go into here and do this at this point. Oh, good grief. Why aren't you turning around? You turned round before. Have I got you locked? That's what the problem is? Ah! Right. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Right. That'd work, wouldn't it? That would work. But now I've got it working, I'm going to have to come out of it so I can go back in and share. And it's not liking that one little bit. Where have you gone? Do I have to share it again? Because that's not going to work. Ah! Technology. Right, what I'll have to do, we'll have to do it a little bit messy. That's what we'll have to do. So I'm going to be sharing my iMac. Thus. But I need to do things. That's what I need to do. So let me bring this over here. I need to bring... Once you've got it in here, you can't do a thing with it, can you, Mike?
No.
Which is what you've said. You've been telling me this for weeks.
Yeah.
And I said, just deal with it. Okay, you're right. It's a pain in the backside. I need to share the screen and it isn't letting me do it. Right, we'll twang it in there when we've done it. Right, why aren't you doing that? You've just been...
Tom loves it when we talk technical.
Oh, good, good. There'll be bad words said in a minute. Right. Oh, there we go. You can see my keyboard and my detritus. Right, so hopefully, just make sure that they're seeing what I'm seeing. Because if you're not, the rest won't make any sense at all.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, no. But I'll slide this across.
We're seeing a blue screen.
But magic will happen soon. It will. I'll get my keyboard out of the way. Say bye-bye to the keyboard.
Right. It's there we go.
Yay!
There we go.
Right, now you just stay where you are. Right, box. All together, box. Right, it's quite a big box. There we go. Look at that. Right, that's the box. So we're going to need to make that further away, aren't we? Like that. There is the box. It's a big box. Right, I'm taking guesses if you want to put them in. Box. Right. And you can see
Jamie says other half has that keyboard.
Oh, it's a good keyboard. I do love that keyboard. Right, I'm ripping the tape at this end. And then I'll switch it round. There you go, look. In. Right, move round here. Get the tape on this end. Have we got any guesses yet? Because I've lost access to the chat now. It cuts me off unceremoniously. It is a big one. It is. Oh, there we go. Right. I reckon if I move that, if I move this one, you'll definitely know. Oh, no, you won't. No, I need to move it in a bit so you can see it.
Jamie says Toblerone.
No, it's not a Toblerone. It's not that shape. Which reminds me of the Christmas that I bought you a guitar.
Yeah.
And it said, ships in discreet packing. Yeah, and when the guy arrived with it, it was a brown wrapper. The shape of a guitar.
Patience says I'm going to assume it's not a toaster.
No, look at that. 20 terabytes.
Peter says another 20 hard drives.
Well, it would be if they were 1 terabyte each. Right, let's get that out of there. Oh, right, there we go. We'll take that out and look what's underneath it. Another one. Twins. There we go. Twins. These aren't particularly fast hard drives, I don't think, but they're large. And what I wanted was large hard drives because I got lots and lots of data. Right, moving that box out of the way, and there are the drives. There they are. Look at them. One is going to be a twin of the other. I always buy drives in twos. It's not cheap, let's put it like that, but it's 20 terabytes. The last one I bought was 14 terabytes. So that's two 20s. Basically for backing up archiving stuff. So let's have a look at one of these. I get into there. Now I'm going to need the scissors. Luckily, scissors close at hand. Right, let's take that there. And take that there. There we go. I think we're in.
Paul Conaway says I was going to ask if you bought a pair.
Oh, yes.
He knows you.
They are always bought in pairs. There we go. What's on earth? Oh, that's the black packaging. So we'll open that up. If you're wondering what the green is on my hand there, I'm not going mouldy. I made a note with a pen because I couldn't find my post-it notes, which is why you still need pens. So there's the drive. Let's drag that out. Oh, there we go. Get rid of that and get rid of that. And there's the... Oh, that's actually quite neat and tidy, isn't it? That's quite small, considering the storage capacity. The most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is the back here. And it's the power cable, which you see DC in, 12 volt. That has to be non-proprietary. LaCie drives. Remember those? These LaCie drives stopped working. I must have had like 6 of them. And they would just make a noise and die a death. And one day I just randomly plugged one in, got confused as to which one was dead, to find out these drives weren't dead, but the power supplies were. And the power supply, the drive was something like £180 and the power supply was 150. These are standard, so I have a drawer full of them. They're the same as Seagate. It doesn't matter, they are standard. So the fact it's got a standard USB-C USB and a standard power thing is very important to me. So I always want to see a photo of the back of the drive before I buy any. And that's why. So let's have a look at said standard power supply, which should be in here. There we go. So we have a USB cable. And we have the power cable. And I think there's every one known to mankind in here. So there's this one. Is this a US one? Is that what they look like in the US? Because that over here would be a shaver plug. So we don't want that one. But they've actually already done it. They've already done it. Normally they don't. So that is a UK plug. I know. Do you know the thing with a UK plug? That's a nightmare. When you stand on it. It's agonising. See, this would just fall over. But no, this is like Lego. Don't do that. So normally what happens, it's not letting me do that at the moment. You can swap these. There's a magic button that you push and it slides out and you can see it's got two things on the back and that slides in. But luckily this time it knows it's in the UK and there it is. And this is the standard end that is so important. So that just goes in there. And I haven't even installed them yet. Oh, the excitement. What else have we got here? Oh, instructions. There you go. There's the instructions for how you slot on the UK plug, which is actually already done. And there's also a whole range of plugs there.
It's an EU plug, according to Renee.
I thought that was UK because I thought Europe. The US is version 1, isn't it? Is Europe number 2? Oh, this may be if I need to take it abroad, but seeing as though I haven't made it to the end of the street in 3 years, it's unlikely. I'll be taking it abroad, but there's the instructions for it, and that's what's in there. So that was a deal from Amazon, 40% off, which was just as well because it was hundreds and hundreds of pounds for drives. This isn't for working data, so I wasn't concerned about getting an SSD. I do have SSD drives. And Tracy requested that you have a photo of where they all live. I can just show you that they are organised to within an inch of their life. They have a black sticker on that I write on in a white pen. And there's hundreds of them. So I will take that photo and I will share that. That's sat next to me that I make backups with. So that was the first thing. I'm not going to go out of here until I've done the second one. Oh, yes. Like buses, you wait for unboxings to come along and then two come along together. So let's take these out of the way. And the next one, I'm hoping it's what I'm thinking it is. It's going to be very disappointing if it's not, but I will explain why it's surprising if it is what I think it is, what I'm hoping it is. Right, so let's put that down there. Where did that go? Oh, it's here. It's behind my keyboard. Right, so last night there was a noise at 9:05 at night. I said, what's that? So Mike said, what? And I said, somebody's just put something through the door. So we automatically thought a neighbour with a Christmas card. And your heart sinks. It's like, is it somebody we've forgotten? But Mike brought it upstairs and I could tell from the weight and I could tell from the fact that it said next day delivery. I thought, surely not. Surely not. And you can actually see it was posted on Monday, the 19th. You can even hear it rattling. Right, so let's get into here. So fingers crossed it is what it's supposed to be. Oh, good grief. Right, let's get in there. Oh, there's another one inside. Oh, here we go. Well, yeah, I'm guessing this is exactly what I'm thinking it is. So let's rip this open and prepare to be amazed. I was certainly amazed. If it was what I was thinking it was, and it is. It's all the styli in all the colours. Posted on Monday. Yes, took them 2.5 weeks to get one here, but managed to get 5 here in 4 days. The red one's a bit skinnier than the gold one, but there's the gold one. So now I've got all the... These are really nice. I would say they're actually better quality than the Just Mobile original. So now I've got all the colours in all the sizes. Oh, Fabulous. I'm liking the black one. I'm liking that. So, yeah, it was supposed to come second class. But looking at this, it says next day delivery. So I think maybe Royal Mail have been watching YouTube and have heard this. So next day delivery. Next day delivery wasn't next day, obviously. It still took them 4 days. But I'm still quite impressed because they're on strike today and they're on strike tomorrow. So basically, if your Christmas present hasn't arrived, you've no chance. So very well done to Royal Mail there. Very, very well done. When I said to you, I think I know what that is. And if it is, I am stunned. I wasn't kidding. Oh, excitement. I went for different colours because I leave these things all over the place and it's handy to know which one I'm missing with different colours. Because I've made do with one for 10 years. I'm wondering how long 5 will last. Hopefully they'll outlast me. But I thought I would share that with you. But I was expecting to share it with you next year when Royal Mail finally delivered it after the foxes had been gnawing on it, if you remember. So, was that worth the wait, Jamie? That's expensive purchases, that. Not the Styli, but the drives were fairly expensive purchases, weren't they? These are nice.
Patricia wants to know why you've got so many colours.
Those are all the colours they make. There's those and the silver one. Let me grab the silver one. These are the 2 silver ones. Which was the original? The one here, that was the original. You can see the Just Mobile on it. And that was the replacement one. So those are all the colours that they make. They're all the ones that I've acquired. I just decided that, like I leave them all over and it's like, which one's this? So it's not something that I don't use. I do. So, like glasses, reading glasses. What was Mum like with reading glasses? She must have had about 50 pairs and she had them all over the place. So that's probably what I'll do with these. I actually would never have gone with the Just Mobile one for anything other than silver. But the black one's really nice and the red one's nice as well. Actually, they're all nice. They're all really nice. So I can highly recommend those. If you're in the market for a stylus, they are all really nice. Right, I need to get back to my slides, which is going to be interesting, isn't it? Oh, no, I think I can actually do that. I think I can do it from here. What does that let me do? Oh, switch monitors. But you make the other 2 black, so it's a waste of time, isn't it? Right, we're back to there now, which means, 1, I can see the chat, and 2, I can go into here. So that's what I bought, a Western Digital WD Elements. That's the link, that's QR code. That QR code would have worked in any of those apps, wouldn't it? Black and white.
Jamie says other half is looking up those drives.
Ah, good man. Good man. And you definitely need twins. Yeah, they're very tiny. So that's handy as well. Considering the storage, it's amazing. They are USB-C, USB 3. But I don't expect them to be... I mean, they're nowhere near going to be as fast as an SSD. But once I've transferred stuff to them, it's more archive stuff. So I was more interested in capacity than speed. If I want speed, then I buy an SSD. So these were the pickies that I got. 2-year limited warranty. I certainly didn't pay anything extra for that. Definitely not. I love the way it mentions PC. And those are the styli. So they were all the colours. I bought the silver one to try it and decided I'd get the others full set if it was any good. And it was. So I like the silver one. I actually think that silver one is better than the Just Mobile. The Just Mobile one did come with a little leather case. And I think it's poor that the case it came in, the case was great, but it's just disintegrated. And so I don't know if it was some kind of weirdy leather, but it's literally just disintegrated. So I need to find somewhere to put those. I can find cases to put them in, but they're all far too big because they're only about 4.5 inches. Whereas these cases are for Apple pens and they're far too big. So I need to find something that's about the right size. I'm thinking maybe a hard drive case, a small hard drive case might work for them, but we'll see. So, past the excitement of that and on to what we have coming up. We are still in our Advent continuing thing. Only a couple of days left, but you don't want to miss it. And then next week, we've got our New Year's party. That says 174, but it's not, it's 175. Just ignore that. So, not too late to get the last 2 things. The Advent thing is where we have 24 to 25 days of freebies. And this is where we're at. So we've got Christmas Eve tomorrow, which is a special day for us, isn't it? How many years tomorrow? He's now got to do maths quickly.
1999, 09, 90.
Good grief.
23.
Well done, Mike! You're wondering. We've been engaged 23 years tomorrow. That was Christmas Eve, 1999. So we rung in the new year by being engaged. We'd only been going out 5 minutes, though, hadn't we, when you look back on it? He's now thinking about how long that was.
7 years.
7.5 years, Mike. And then we got engaged. So that's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is a very special day for us. This was one of the things that we sent out as one of the freebies, and then we made it available. So if you've not got that, you can go get that as well. We have a couple of sessions coming up. No dates yet. I'm working on it. But we will have the Affinity Photo 2 new features thing, and we will have the iPad one, because that's all that we've got left on that with the new stuff. But don't forget the New Year's party next week, same time, same place, and available on demand. We have everything on the channel, so youtube.com/ElaineGiles. We have our After Hours playlist with all the After Hours going back to 2018. We have an announcement regarding a MacBites marathon that's occurring. Jammy is in the middle of a MacBites marathon. Brave, brave boy. And he's only got 100 episodes left to go.
Oh.
Do realise that could be as much as like 300 hours, couldn't it? Good luck with that. Let us know how you go.
SFN says her auntie was engaged for 39 years, so we've got a bit to go yet.
You can't rush these things, especially not with the pandemic. What else have we got? Oh, yes, MacBites. It will happen at some point. Keep saying that. It was the gas man's fault. We love you guys. If you love us, give us a like, because it really does make a difference with YouTube. It recommends us to people. And then we have more people coming. Right, my VIP list is where you will get first dibs on all of the Affinity sessions, etc. And that's the QR code. That is the URL. And then there is the MacBites mail, which is where you get notifications about MacBites and is where we've been running our Advent thing. There is also Slack, where we carry on the conversation. It's completely free. Feel free to join us. I am dreadfully behind in there at the moment, but I will get there, I promise. MacBites.co.uk/Slack. So, let's take questions.
Have you got the link to the stylus? SFN wants it.
That would have been a week ago. You would have the link from a week ago.
Would I? Okay.
It would be in 173 or 172.
Right.
Probably last week, because I had about 50 slides, didn't I, with my adventures with Royal Mail. But they've surpassed themselves this week, so I'm forgiving them anything this week. I really am. Right. You have a wonderful Christmas as well, Kim. Absolutely. Thank you, Richard. Anniversary wishes. Thank you.
173.
Patricia says she's cheering for us to make the jump. Plenty long engagement. You can't rush these things. That's what we've always said. We said that about getting engaged, didn't we? Do you remember when Mike and I got together, we were 24 going on 25. And all our friends were getting married, weren't they? How many weddings did we go to? Loads. And guess what? One couple are still a couple. All the rest divorced and on to husband or wife number 2 or 3. So what a waste of time that was. Just saying. While we're still together. No, you can't rush these things. I mean, hard drives cost money, you know. An Apple kit costs money. So why would I be feeding the 5,000 at a wedding? There's a thought. Oh, could you imagine my mother organising a wedding? What are you looking for?
The styluses. I'll find them. So okay.
They're definitely in there. Definitely, because we put the links in when I ordered one. And I said, don't buy it yet because it's not arrived. And then it went MIA for weeks and weeks. But now I have an overabundance of them. But you can never have too many toys. And I always think with the tips of them, I don't do that many demonstrations of an iPad, I'll be honest. But, I can imagine you wearing the tip out and these are not replaceable. They're not the kind of things you could replace.
Is it the Just Mobile?
Not the Just Mobile one, it's the other one.
The Hellfire?
Yeah, the Hellfire ones.
Right.
And there's all the links in all the colours, isn't there?
Yeah, I've got them.
I knew you would, because they're where I put them. Excellent. Right, I'm going back up here. I'm going back up, catching up. Oh, Jamie says he's on 75-ish. You mean it's not seared on your brain? It will be. It will be soon.
SFN, all these links coming in a minute for you.
They're all different colours. So there are, including the silver one, there's 6 different colours. I honestly couldn't choose between them. They all look great. I usually go for silver, but they're all really nice. I mean, I wouldn't normally go for green or purple, but they're actually all nice. So whatever would match your mood or your cover, whatever. Happy to recommend them all.
These are quite long URLs.
I think they've been in before, and I think they've worked though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right. 39 years. Love that. We're not far off getting there. Patricia says, you're so generous. You're very, very welcome. Oh, and Dale says, we're very engaging. See what you did there. Liking it. Right. Here's all the links coming in then, are they, Mike?
No. No, because the links are too long.
Oh, Patricia says, check out a case for the Styli as Prismacolor marker holder. Oh, right. I'm going to look those up. When I looked for stylus, pretty much they were all for the Apple Pencil. And because of that, they were all saying like 8.5 inches, 7.5 inches. Like, I don't want anything like that at all. I do have a pencil case thing that's next to me with all my pens in, which I could show you, but I'm reckoning that this has gone mental now. Let's see if it'll work. Let me switch over to that. I did
post them last time, but...
Are they not having it tonight?
No, there's too many characters in the link.
Oh.
There's 240 characters in the link.
Right, I'm switching to that, so I can switch in here to see if I can get the camera on again. See what mood it's in. Right. Going to work. So I can show you my pencil case, which looks like it would work, but I don't think it would. Right. We're going to have to do... Ow! Trap my finger in it now. We're going to have to do the magic beans, aren't we? I think. So, why doesn't this just work? There's a question for you, Apple. Why doesn't this just work? Right. Right, there it is. That's not what I'm looking for, though. I'm looking to go into here. So there they are. Right, I'll hold it. That'll solve a problem. So there they all are lined up. Now, my pencil case looks like that. So it's freestanding. It's just fabric. Oh, look at the dust. It's freestanding. And the idea is that you can close it by pulling this part up and then zipping it. But I don't particularly do that with it. I've got all my pens in there. I've got writing implements. So this is one of my Apple pencils, obviously Pencil 1, that doesn't work anywhere else. So I can't glue it to anything. This pen is one of my favourites. It's just a biro. But at the top of it, it also has a styli thing. Rubber tipped, so it looks like Pencil 1. Pencil 1, I'd forgotten. I just bought that top for it. So Pencil 1, trying to get that in focus. Pencil 1 has a rubber tip on it as well, which just comes off. So it is a standard thing, but instead of having the white tip on it, I put this thing on it and I called it the Apple Pencil Pro, because to me that was what should have been on it. If you're wondering about the tape, that's because I've got 2 of them and I need to know which is which. So it's just a piece of washi tape stuck to it. Right, so that's in there. A couple of biros. All my highlighters are in there. And all my thick pens like these. These now
you're not showing your screen.
Oh, am I not? Oh, no. That's the problem, isn't it? I didn't switch it back on. Hang on. Let's switch over and see it. That's because this is a problem. Oh, you are so awkward. Right, let's whip back into it. Right. You should have spotted that.
I'm trying to sort these links out.
Right. Off we go.
346 characters.
Well, can't you just shorten them? That's not what I'm trying to do. Let's go in there. There we are. Right, can you see it now? Excellent. Well, you let me know if you can see it. Right, so I'm talking about this being the Apple Pencil. So this at the top is a rubber tip on it, which comes off and lets you charge it. I think we demoed this in After Hours 1 or 2. I think it was 2. And the washi tape is just so I know that this is number 2, not number 1. Right.
Yeah, now we can see.
So that's the Apple Pencil thing. This is the biro, the Stabilo Smart Ball, which has a rubber tip at the end. So if I'm writing with this, quite a lot of the time, I'll just quickly flip it round and stab at the iPad with it. The chunky pens were these, which are Pentel. Pentel, what does that say? It's actually got a name on it there. Pentel Super Pen. Or is it Sign Pen? Sign Pen. They're a bit like felt tips. Move that. There we go. You'll notice colour-wise, these are all the same. So I have my orange one. That's for MacBites stuff. And then I have a red one for important stuff. I have a black one that's neutral. I have a green one to mark stuff as done. And I have a purple one, which is for notes to be added to Obsidian or things. In fact, that's the blue one, is it? Or is it purple? One or other. I've got a blue one as well. That's the purple one. And then I use these things, which are Papermate Ink Joys. And you'll notice there's a purple one. And there's an orange one. And they all match. Oh no, how sad is that? There's a green one. What else have we got? A red one. They all match. So these are for writing. These are for like marking stuff up. But they all match. What can I say? And this is the case that I have them in. So height-wise, it would work. That's what I was saying about the dust on the bottom. Height-wise, it would work. But this thing pulls up and goes up to like this level, so you can zip it closed. So it technically, while it would work for these, it actually wouldn't work for these. Don't keep shaking. That's better. It wouldn't work because you wouldn't be able to zip it without pulling the thing up, and then it would be too tall. So there's my analog system, all colour-coded. My analog colour-coded system. I can't see the chat while I'm doing that, so I'll head off out of here and we can get back into the chat. So let's do that. And do that.
These bit.ly links are for you, SFN.
Oh, he's going to be in serious trouble, Mike, when we finish this, because he didn't have his Bitly thing set up, did you?
I have got my Bitly thing.
Is it in Alfred? Do you just have to copy and paste?
No.
Bitly.com. You say? Naughty. Oh, right. Hello, Tracy. Tracy's in the house. Right, let me catch up here. What's Kim talking about marriage? Oh, what did I miss there? I think I missed a bit there. Okay, working down. Oh, 46 years for Deb. I'm impressed. Did you have smelly pens when you were a kid? I did. We all did. Oh, indeed. I did. Do you know, I had a friend of a friend. It was a friend of my aunt's, and this friend had been on holiday. He'd gone to Spain with his wife, and he'd come back. He brought me a present. And my mum was really strict. She wouldn't have let you stop eating your breakfast to get to a present. So she said, that's fantastic. And he stayed, he sat there with this gift and between us. And she said, but you're not having it until you finish your breakfast. So there I am trying to shove this egg down. I think it was a fried egg with some sausage. And I started to feel a bit queasy. And I thought, oh, you're overexcited at the prospect of this gift. But I really did start to feel incredibly queasy. And there was like a funny smell. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be sick. Because I am incredibly sensitive to smells. Incredibly. As you know, don't you, Mike? With your petrol tank. So I'm struggling to finish this egg. I'm feeling worse by the second. Anyway, I managed to get the egg down because I wanted this gift. So he handed over this gift, beautifully wrapped. And it turned out the gift was a zip-around pencil case, and inside it was pencils, felt tips, you name it. But with it coming from Spain, whatever it had been made of must have been like buffalo herd or something. Oh, the smell. That was what the smell was. So it wasn't as overpowering while it was in its wrapper. But once I ripped it open, I thought, oh my word, that's what the smell is. And I was nearly heaving. And I thought, I can't say, I can't touch this. It smells. But, oh, the smell was diabolical. But I think the ones you're talking about were like, what do you call them? Was it like the chisel markers? You know, the ones I mean, like whiteboard markers, but like chisel type markers. And they were amazing. They really were amazing. My dad used to have those. He was a transport manager, and he had to mark up stuff all the time. So as he was marking stuff up, he was using these markers, and they were pungent. Oh, they were very, very pungent. So yes, I know exactly what you mean. And the other thing that stank, Michael grin at this, was the photocopies that were purple. They would come off and you could barely read them. They were like a lavender purple. They were wet. You have to dry yours, and the smell would have knocked a donkey out. Seriously. I think kids today have no idea. They really do have no idea.
Didn't the machine have a handle that used to turn
Yeah,
round?
it was like a Gestetner machine, wasn't it? Yeah. Who had purple photocopies? And our purple photocopies weren't even on A4 paper. It was foolscap back then. And we didn't. They'd give you a binder to put your stuff in that was A4, and the stuff they gave you to put in it was foolscap, which is like 2 inches longer. Oh, it was grand.
I think we're going back to junior school, aren't we?
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Tracy. Much appreciated. Oh, Carol says she doesn't have a sense of smell. I'm totally the other way, and I don't know which is best. I really don't know which is best. Do you remember when there was that scare a few years ago? Carbon monoxide. And Mum was like, oh, we're going to need to get a monitor. And I'm like, what for? I can smell anything at 50 miles. So you're not going to need it, Mum. But we went with it, and no, we didn't have any leaks. Because when the gas man came, well, which one? There were so many of them. When the gas man came and he said to you, you'll be smelling gas for 30 minutes. I said to you, I've been smelling gas for the last 3 weeks. Because obviously I can smell it from other people's houses. As can Lola, who's disgusted with it. She's had enough. She's sick of people coming around and fiddling. Oh, nicely scented biros.
I remember smelly erasers.
No, I don't have a memory with those. Oh, a mimeograph. Was it a mimeograph? I thought it was a Gestetner. Or was the Gestetner the one that I used to do for that company? It was like you got these templates, I guess you would call them. They got a big strip at the top that was like thick cardboard, and hanging off that you had like a white front sheet, and then underneath that you had like 2 or 3 sheets of maybe like carbon paper or something. And how they worked, you could put them in a typewriter. You do not make a mistake. You cannot make a mistake with these things. So you do your layout on the typewriter, and then you take this thing, they take the first sheet off, they put it on the machine, I think that must have been the Gestetner, and turn the handle, and it passes some kind of ink through the holes that the typewriter has made, and you get a copy. Oh, I'm amazed that we've come on as far as we have. When you look at Affinity Publisher now and all the things you can do with it, and you look back to that, and I still think that I'm 20, obviously, that it seems like it was 5 minutes ago. Right. Okay.
Jamie's got a dare for you.
Oh, go on.
It's in the chat.
I challenge you to do one of the next Affinity demos on Toblerone Thomas's lovely Surface. But I don't need to, because I've got a VM. So if you wanted to see it on Windows, are you Windows or Mac? If you wanted to see it on Windows, I can show it you on Windows anyway. It could probably be done, but it would be more complicated than even you would imagine, because the whole broadcast thing is happening from my Mac. So when you saw me do the video today, there's multiple ways to do the video. That was a bit more messy than I would have liked, but the alternative would have necessitated a lot more kit. So with Mike's, I would have to prise it out of his cold dead hand, wouldn't I, for a start? And then I'd have to get it broadcasting to Wirecast so I can share it with you. So it would be possible, but why would I do this? Remind me. Why would I do this? Oh, Paul remembers turning the handle. I never got promoted to that job, Paul. Mine was just designing the thing and delivering it. And SFN has a sensitive nose. You can smell through plastic containers. The man in Sainsbury's thought I was mad when I told him something was off before buying it. Didn't we have something delivered at the beginning of the pandemic? Was it a loaf or cheese? I think it was cheese. And it was in a packet and it was all sealed. And it had lovely green mould growing inside it. Do you remember?
I do remember.
And gluten-free bread lasts all of 10 minutes. That can go off in the time it takes you to take it from the oven and it to cool down. And they leave it on the shelf and it's like 3 weeks out of date. It could walk out of there itself. So I hear you. My dad was like that with milk. He would take one sniff at some milk. I'm not drinking that. Not drinking that. And Mum was like, there's nothing wrong with it. And he said, there is. It's off. He would drive her crazy. You just wanted to push me into Windows territory. Oh, you're a cruel man. You are. Because you know I hate Windows. It would amuse me. That is very cruel. I actually had to do that today. I have to check the church newsletter in Publisher, Microsoft Publisher. So I have great fun with Windows on a weekly basis, and it's the shortcut keys that get me. The shortcut keys on Mac do something entirely different than the ones on Windows. So when I use the keys to navigate the text and I glance at the screen, I've ended up with like the Publisher on the left and a text editor on the right. I'm like, what happened there? And it's these shortcut keys. So yeah, out of my comfort zone. There you go. Out of my comfort zone. And you can smell sugar in tea. Oh, wow. I told you the tale of the sugar in the tea. You would have had no problem with mine. There was 5 sugars in it. But I have since removed that to 0 and no milk. So my tea doesn't taste of anything. It's like the milk we have fully skimmed. So it's basically white water. All right. So do we have any last questions? Any links you need? Anything you do not have? 3 years since you used it last. Well, just imagine my pain. 2006. Yes, I open it on a weekly basis, but honestly, everything that I wanted to do with it, because I didn't touch it for about 10 years, everything like, how do I change the default printer? How do I make that icon disappear? What's this? Everything is like Google. And yet, on Microsoft's site, I'm still a certified systems engineer in Windows. So I could set it up for you, just can't use it. It's been a while. Let's say that. It's been a while. Oh, you've not gone milk-free yet. I can highly recommend it, to be honest. I think if you're making tea for yourself, you probably put in the right amount of milk. And you can tell by looking at the colour. But when we were going to the parish centre after Mass on a Sunday morning, the tea was vile, wasn't it? I mean, honestly, you wouldn't have tarred the road with it. It was vile. So I said, I'm quite happy without milk, because they'd either put too much in and it was swimming on the top, or there wasn't enough and it was too dark. So it's actually easier to just say black tea. But while people have black coffee, they seem to be completely stumped when you ask for a black tea. And I don't know why, really. Black tea is much better than the milky concoction with the 5 sugars that my mum made. She'd be turning, wouldn't she, if she heard me? Turning. Oh, let's leave it alone. So, it's Christmas Eve now. So you can officially, it's 33 years. Because now it's Christmas Eve.
Happy
it
anniversary.
Is here. Thank you. Happy anniversary. Now you've worked out it's 33. That took longer than was wise to share, I think. But never mind. Right, question, what's Santa bringing you for Christmas this year other than 40 terabytes of drives and styluses? I think he's having a rest now they've arrived. I honestly, we say this, don't we? We don't really go crazy with Christmas gifts or birthday gifts or whatever. We're in a very, very fortunate position not having parents relying on us or children relying on us, and Lola's got her own biscuit fund, that if we want something, we just go buy it. And so it's like, if it was like, what do you want for Christmas? I'd have to go out and actually look for something, and then that's a silly waste of time. So I'm not expecting anything from Santa beyond what I've already got. And to be honest, I don't need anything more than I've already got. Now, obviously, if Tim Cook was asking, can we bring back the iMac, the real one, the big one, possibly make it even bigger? That would be awesome. So if Tim...
merging pages.
I've given up with that. I've totally given up with him and software. I really have. I can't use iWork because I don't trust it, because it deleted my slides. So there's no point. Whatever he brings back, I'm not interested. I'm using Office and I'm done. I'm trying to think. I don't think, and I don't want to tempt fate, but I don't think PowerPoint. I mean, they brought out Duff updates, haven't they, like that crash, because we're on the insider build. So we're on the cutting edge. But I don't think they've ever brought one out that's eaten the slides. So no, Tim can't tempt me with software, but he could with hardware. He could make me a very, very happy woman. But I don't think he has any interest whatsoever in making me a happy woman, do you? No. So, no, I'm not expecting anything at all. I do have 2 gifts to put under the tree from 2 people from church, and that's it. So I will share next week what they were, if they're shareable. And did I mention they're from church? So they probably will be. Who knows? Might be a new missile or something like that. Could be. You never know. Oh, right. Tracy's taking the tea black when you moved there, because you could either only get UHT or greasy cow's milk. That was the thing. I mean, for years I had tea and it was absolutely fine. But if you go to London, which I made the mistake of doing, the water there is horrific. It is such hard water. I don't know how they get away with charging for it. It's that bad. And when you make tea or coffee and you don't use like filtered water, you couldn't drink it. I swear you couldn't. I remember Jonathan saying how bad the water was there. And something like it was only fit for washing his car. And I said, you didn't wash your car in it. I wouldn't even wash the car with it. The water was that bad. So I just took the decision, don't really need that. When you see it, it's like, I can't drink that. And what I used to do in wherever I was, where I was having this tea, it'd be like a paper napkin. And you'd have to like lay it over the top and basically wipe the scum off. Oh, it was vile. It put me off forever. So done right, tea with milk can be amazing. It can be wonderful, but not when it's swimming on the top. No, leave it alone. Oh, Yorkshire tea. What tea bags did we have? Was it Tetley?
Totally.
I think we did try Yorkshire tea. A smidgen too strong, possibly. But yeah, we have Tetley. Other tea bags are available. It doesn't have the issues you have with questionable cow's milk. There you go, questionable cow's milk. There's a title for the show. Well, have that as a subtitle, Mike. Write that down. Questionable cow's milk. Tracy says she hates making tea in Leicester. It's frothy. And what's that? Right, it's foul because the tap water been so hard. Yeah, Mike had problems, and he in his flat, he lived about 15 miles away from me. But the water was like from another era. It really is vile. How people get away with it, I don't know. We're very, very lucky where we are. You know, thinking about everything. Like, that sounds like it's outside. Are you thinking it's Lola?
Yeah.
I'll go check, but I think it's outside. We're incredibly lucky in terms of weather. It's outside, isn't it? Oh, his hearing's going now. We're okay with floods. Go and see it. You won't settle till you do. God, typical bloke. Can't keep his nose to himself. Something's making a noise outside. It could well be a fox birthing or something. It's howling, but it's not Lola. Of course, she'll be very interested, so she'll accompany him in case he gets into trouble. You're back now.
She's fine.
I know she's fine. It's you. So we're very lucky, and that includes water. But every place I've been, apart from the southwest, the water's not been drinkable. Having said that, even though it is drinkable here, we still drink from bottled water. Because there've been far too many occasions where something is in the water, and that included the southwest, didn't it? Wasn't that where there was a spillage? of something dodgy. People sued. It was bad news. But I always think if you go in somewhere when you're away and you don't have the facilities to make your own, you're looking at it thinking, oh, no. It's just, they don't seem to have any pride in producing something that's actually consumable. Let's put it like that. Who on earth decided oil in tea? No, I don't like anything that kind of... The only thing that's been like with a flavour that was really nice was there was black currant or blackberry, and it was what's that brand that do a lot of tea, and this was flavoured tea. I can't remember the brand, but that was nice. But I mean, it wasn't tea. It was in a bag, so it was an infusion. But whenever I go anywhere, it's like just English breakfast tea, and be done. Darjeeling, I think, was what Mum drank, but I found that too tangy, too much, too overwhelming. And the Chinese tea was okay, wasn't it? Which was pretty much served the same way. It was quite weak, and it wasn't overpowering in terms of the smell. Fun. Right, okay, if we got no more questions, and it's now Christmas Eve here, I'm going to charge my tree lights. I'm charging the batteries for the tree lights. And we'll probably have our special Christmas Eve meal. And then it'll be Christmas Day. And we probably won't spend all day opening presents because, there's geeking out to do. And that's what we like to do. So that's what we'll probably do. But for the moment, I am going to have some treats, I think. I won't have my Yule log, obviously, for reasons explained. But we have a mince pie. We might have to scrap over the mince pie, but we have a mince pie. So, from me, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.